Chapter 4442 Crisis. Just as everyone was mocking them, a light suddenly appeared around them. Immediately after, thick vines grew out from the ground and began to entangle everyone. Those vines had sharp thorns on them and grew at a rapid speed. In the blink of an eye, they had entwined many people. That was not all. Many wind blades suddenly appeared from all directions and swept towards everyone. The group was thrown into chaos. Miserable cries and screams mixed together. Almost half of the people were injured in an instant. If not for the large number of people, they would have died long ago. Captain Luo was still calm. He commanded a part of the people to be responsible for cutting the vines, and the other part to strike the wind blades. The situation was finally under control for the time being. Some people could not wait to leave this place, but they discovered that they were blocked by the barrier. No matter how they attacked with their swords and sabers, they had no way of getting out. Captain Luo's head buzzed. Oh no! There's a formation here. We've fallen into a trap. As soon as Captain Luo finished speaking, wild laughter could be heard from not far away. TSK, they're really a bunch of idiots. Don't you think that it's such a coincidence that you've encountered an injured golden-eyed ghost hoe? It's all because of their greed. They thought they got a great deal, but they didn't know that it was our bait. They're as stupid as pigs. If they weren't so stupid, we would have to wait for a few more days. Isn't this what we wanted? Haha. More than a dozen masked men walked in front of the trapped people while mocking them. You, who are you people? Captain Luo cried out in surprise. Ordinary people didn't know that there were masked men around Princess Meiyan. When Princess Meiyan appeared in front of people, it was another group of people. You don't have to care about who we are. You just need to know that you won't live today. I advise you to just commit suicide. It will save us both trouble. The leader said. Captain Luo was naturally unwilling to just sit and wait for death. He said, Everyone, we are all members of the Royal Hunting Group. If you really kill us, I'm afraid you won't be able to be kind. How about this? We will give all the money we have to you, and let us leave. Those people wearing masks laughed loudly, as if they had heard a funny joke. How stupid. We spent so much effort to catch you. How could we let you go? Cut the crap. Either you commit suicide or wait to be killed by the formation. At this moment, Captain Luo was almost regretting his decision. If he had known this would happen, he would have listened to Yingqing Luo and would not have fallen to such a state. But what was the point of saying all this now? When he thought of this, Captain Luo looked around but did not find Yun Shijio. He smiled bitterly in his heart. He reckoned that Yingqing Luo had already fled for her life. This could not be blamed on her. If it were him, he would also choose to flee for his life. After all, she was not a match for these people alone. At this moment, Tu Ziji said coldly, Even if you want us to commit suicide, you should at least let us be clear ghosts, right? Who exactly are you people? Why do you want to kill us? What good would it do you if you kill us? If it's Tu Kai, we will give you the money. But if it's revenge, we can't all be your enemies, right? The leader snorted coldly and said, Why are you talking so much nonsense? You will understand when you go underground. None of you will survive today. Chapter 4443 was getting worse and worse. Tu Ziji recalled what Yun Shijio had told him before. He sneered and said, If you don't want to tell me, then I'll guess. Since you dare to touch a member of our royal hunting group, the backer behind you must not be simple. Even the aristocratic families don't dare to make a direct enemy of our royal hunting group. Could it be that your master is a member of the royal family? Those masked people didn't expect Tu Ziji to guess the royal family. They couldn't help but feel a little flustered, and their bodies tensed up. Your reaction is so big. I must have guessed correctly. We were originally working for the royal family, but the royal family wants to kill us. It really makes people laugh. Tu Ziji said self-deprecatingly. The leader was about to speak, but Tu Ziji didn't give him a chance to speak. He continued, Our mission this time was given by Princess Meiyan. I think the person behind her back is Princess Meiyan, right? Princess Meiyan is the leader of our royal hunting group. If we make a mistake, we can be punished directly. There's no need to deceive us to come here. If that's the case, Princess Mayan must have some ulterior motive. Hee, it's funny. We worked hard for Princess Mayan, but in the end, we were deceived to come here. It's really chilling. The masked men could no longer remain calm. Wasn't this hunter's insight too strong? His analysis was almost accurate. The short guard who was eavesdropped by Yun Chujio said impatiently, "Since you're about to die anyway, there's no harm in telling you." "That's right. Princess Mei Yan sent us here to take your lives. It's your honor that your blood can contribute to the princess." It was too late for the leader to stop them. The short man had already spoken. However, he thought about it. These people wouldn't live anyway. It didn't matter even if he knew. Captain Luo and the others simply couldn't believe their ears. What? It was actually a trap set by Princess Mei Yan?
Why?
Why did she do this? And what did that person mean by blood? Could it be that Princess Mei Yan wanted their blood? Tu Ziji roared. "Brothers, we risked our lives for the royal family. In the end, Princess Mei Yan used such despicable means to take our lives. We can't let them succeed like this. If we attack the barrier together, we will definitely be able to break this formation." The crowd was naturally unwilling to die. After hearing Tu Ziji's words, they resisted the attack of the formation while attacking the barrier at the same time. However, there wasn't much effect. The masked guards looked at the crowd's struggle with disdain and said arrogantly, "Just give up struggling. This is the demon subduing and killing formation. With just you, there's no way to break the formation. If you can contribute a little to the princess, then you deserve to die. Don't struggle. The sooner you die, the sooner we can finish the mission." Captain Luo and the others were so angry that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. However, there was no way to break the array. If this continued, it would not be long before they were attacked by the array and died. Tu Ziji's heart was like a beeping dog. He thought to himself, "Little Jiu, do something. If they were to delay any longer, they would all be dead." Hei Xinjiu was watching with relish from the tree branch. If she had appeared earlier, how could Captain Luo and the others be so grateful to her? Humans would only be grateful when they were in despair. This fellow felt that he was becoming more and more evil. He must have been led astray by Buttface. Chapter 4444 Luring the tiger away from the mountain. Hei Xinjiu felt that the time was right, so she flew to a hidden place. After transforming into a human form, she strolled over slowly. Immediately, a masked guard noticed her and exclaimed, there's another one who escaped. However, she's really stupid. She actually came to us of her own accord. She's courting death." Captain Luo and the others did not feel much when they saw Yun Chujio. This was because they felt that Yun Chujio was also courting death by coming here. She was really stupid. "I heard you guys say just now that Princess Mei Yan wants our blood? This is really strange. Princess Mei Yan isn't a origin beast. Why would she want to drink our blood? Has she gone mad?" Yun Chujio asked curiously. "Don't talk so much nonsense. Stupid girl, I'll send you on your way right now." That short bodyguard pounced towards Yun Chujio. Their origin energy was mostly at the 5th to 6th level of the origin Saint Realm. How could they put Yun Chujio, who was only at the 1st level of the origin Saint Realm, in their eyes? Seeing that short bodyguard chasing after her, Yun Chujio immediately ran away. The short bodyguard naturally wouldn't let her go, chasing closely behind. The leading guard frowned. However, he felt that the short guard had no problem taking down Yun Chujio. Hence, he did not send anyone else to help. Although Yun Chujio's elemental energy was low, she ran very fast. That short guard could not catch up with her. He was simply angered to death. The most infuriating thing was that he lost her after chasing her. He discovered that that wretched girl seemed to have disappeared into thin air. He actually could not find her no matter how hard he tried. He had no choice but to return to his original spot dejectedly. The person in the lead asked, "Is it solved?" "Boss, no. That stinky girl escaped." The short guard stammered. "What? She actually escaped? She already heard what happened to the princess just now. How could you let her escape? You trash." the person in the lead said in exasperation. The short guard was being scolded like a dog. At this moment, waves of beast roars came from the surroundings, and the ground began to tremble. Those guards immediately panicked. What was going on? Could it be that the origin beasts were rebelling? While they were still panicking, several origin beasts had already run over. Moreover, because this was the depths of the valley, the ones that ran over were mostly high-level origin beasts. Those origin beasts seemed a little confused, but when they saw the guards and the people trapped inside the array formation, they immediately perked up. This was a delicacy that was within their mouths. It would be a waste not to eat. Immediately, those high-level origin beasts attacked those guards. Although those guards' elemental energy wasn't low, they weren't able to withstand the attacks of so many origin beasts. Very quickly, they fell into a disadvantageous position. The short guard shouted, "Boss, in any case, they won't be able to break this formation for a while. Why don't we temporarily hide from the limelight and wait until they are almost dead before coming over to collect their blood?" The leader had no other choice but to nod his head in agreement and escape with his subordinates. What made them depressed was that those origin beasts were chasing closely behind. Clearly, they were fighting against them. They did not know that Zingius light fog had been floating behind them. Those origin beasts that were summoned by the Guai Chao were naturally chasing closely behind them. Yun Chuzhou had lured the guards out for more than 10 miles before she floated back. When the trapped people saw Yun Chuzhou reappear, they could not help but have a glimmer of hope. However, it was only a glimmer. They could not open the array. What could Qingluo do? Chapter 44-45. Evil Formation. How would they know that although Xinjiu had no way, the black bead did? After the black bead swallowed the bead from the prison of heritage, it was in a good mood. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou did not waste much effort, and the black bead agreed. Yun Chuzhou directed Tiu Ziji to find the core of the formation. After everyone worked together to break the core of the formation, the demon subduing and killing formation was also broken. Captain Luo and the rest, especially those who had mocked Yun Chuzhou previously, were filled with shame. No one had expected that the trash they looked down on the most would save them in the end. Almost as soon as everyone had escaped, the masked guards returned. When they saw that everyone had actually broken the array, they simply couldn't believe it. The short guard saw Yun Chuzhou and pointed at her. "Boss, it's most likely this damned girl's doing. Otherwise, these people wouldn't have been able to break the demon subduing and killing array." The expression of the leader was very ugly. The plan that was supposed to be foolproof now had such a big flaw. If they couldn't kill all these people, once they returned to the royal hunting group, it would be extremely disadvantageous to the princess. Therefore, these people had to die here. Thinking of this, he looked at the other guards and said, "Set up the array." The guards immediately took off their masks, and everyone was surprised to find that their faces were covered with strange patterns. "Sacrifice my soul to the ghost ancestor. Use my body as the formation. Kill." As the guards chanted, the patterns on their faces emitted a black light that shot into the sky. In an instant, Yun Chuzhou and the others were trapped in a black cage. The guards all turned into black stone pillars and became a part of the formation. Wisps of black fog drifted out from the stone pillars. A hunter was caught by a wisp of black fog and instantly turned into a pool of blood. Everyone was terrified. This evil formation was too terrifying. Yun Chuzhou frowned. No wonder these guards always wore masks. It turned out that they had a lot on their faces. Princess Meian, this old witch, had mastered all kinds of evil techniques. She had no idea where she had learned them from. They were really abnormal. This evil formation was obviously at the expense of those guards. She had to admit that she had a way to control it. She actually made those people willingly die for her. However, she did not have time to think too much right now. It was more important to think of a way to break the formation. Therefore, this fellow said to the black bead in a flattering manner, "Glass ball, no. Dear little Juju, help little sister find the formation's eye." The black bead trembled slightly. Although it could not speak, Yun Chuzhou could feel its emotions. She could not help it. "Hey Xinjiu, was furious. This was eating for nothing. She had already swallowed 4 small beads, but she was still so useless. This fellow was really anxious now. She could not die, but 2ZG could not. Moreover, she still had use for these people. If she died just like that, wouldn't she lose a lot of money? At this moment, a series of miserable screams could be heard. The black fog was very difficult to deal with. If they were to delay any longer, none of these people would be able to survive. Yun Chuzhou was running around anxiously. However, the large brick came uninvited and flew out from between her eyebrows shamelessly. Although it was a time of life and death, Captain Luo and the others were still slightly dazed. How did King Luo's spirit become the large brick? The spirit's soul released by Captain Luo and the others had already been corroded beyond recognition by the black fog. However, the large brick floated in the air a few times and was actually not damaged at all. Moreover, the black fog seemed to be very afraid of the large brick. Wherever the large brick went, the black fog would automatically avoid it. Chapter 44-46. The Power of the Big Brick. Hey Xinjia's eyes lit up. It seemed that this scammer was the nemesis of the black fog. However, it was also true. The big brick turned out to be some red fog. It must be related to the black fog. Yun Chuzhou changed her bad attitude toward the big brick from a few days ago and said extremely gently, "Big brick? No, my little brick. Do you have a way to break the array? I knew that you are 10,000 times stronger than that scammer buttface. As long as you help Master break the array, Master will only dote on you from now on." Big brick was flattered so much that it couldn't even float. It was so crooked that it almost fell to the ground. The corner of Yun Chuzhou's eyes twitched. There was probably no master in the world who was more miserable than her. Each and every one of them had to be coaxed before they were willing to work. Who exactly was she following? Little brick, I promise you. As long as you can break the formation, I will play chase with you, okay? Don't you like this game the most? Then help me break the formation. When the big brick heard this, it immediately emitted a dazzling red light. The black fog disappeared almost instantly without a trace. This was not the end. The big brick valiantly smashed at the barrier. Seeing this, Yun Chuzhou quickly ordered everyone to help attack the barrier. Everyone was stunned. This huge brick was too powerful. Everyone did not have time to think and quickly used all their strength to attack the barrier. Finally, a crack appeared on the barrier and it was completely broken. As the barrier disappeared, the guard who had turned into a black stone pillar turned into pools of black water, emitting a foul smell. The plants around the black water instantly withered, and even some plants in the distance seemed to slowly lose their vitality. The group didn't dare to stay here for long and quickly retreated toward the entrance of the valley. After running for more than 10 miles, they finally let out a sigh of relief. Seeing Yun Chuzhou, the group wanted to say something, but they hesitated. They felt guilty, grateful, and somewhat inquisitive. Wait for me at the entrance of the valley. I have some matters to attend to. I will be back in about 10 days. We will talk about the specifics when I return. In addition, if you want to live, wait for me obediently. Otherwise, no one will be able to save you. After saying this, Yun Chuzhou did not bother with everyone's reactions. She directly rushed into the depths of the valley. Everyone was confused, but they really did not dare to disobey. They were not stupid. Since those guards were Princess Mei Yan's people, if they rashly returned to the royal hunting group, they would definitely be in deep trouble. However, Yun Chuzhou had left while 2ZG was there. Everyone looked at him. He shrugged his shoulders. Don't look at me. I don't know anything. Let's wait for her to come back. Now, 2ZG's position in the group was no longer the same as before. Although everyone was extremely curious, they didn't dare to force him. They could only suppress their curiosity and wait for Yun Chuzhou's return. Yun Chuzhou quickly entered the cave. Before she even got close to the stone room with the Heaven's Soul water, she heard Buttface's voice. Brother Mushroom, let me tell you something interesting. You don't know that my master is a pervert. Do you know the Lord of the Nightmare Race, Shengzun? I was tortured miserably by the little fairy. She took advantage of me for no reason. However, she still hasn't been able to catch up with you. Don't you think it's quite miserable? Ha ha ha. Chapter 44-47. Turning over a new leaf and becoming a dog again, Buttface was laughing so hard that he was about to roll on the ground. He had been holding back these words for a long time. He didn't dare to say them. He was about to turn into a mushroom. Most importantly, he didn't have anyone to confide in. If he told the little blackbird and the others that those wastrels would definitely report them to the Xiao, then he would die without a burial place. This big mushroom couldn't speak, and it wasn't the Xiao spiritual pet, so it was the most appropriate to tell it. Just as Buttface was laughing complacently, he suddenly shivered. He stared at his dog eyes and looked around. When he saw the wisp of light mist floating in the air, his head buzzed. The first thought that appeared in Buttface's head was, he was dead for sure. Oh my god. How did the little fairy come back so quickly? Were Princess Mayan's guards a bunch of pigs? How could they be taken care of so quickly? It's over, it's over. The little fairy must have heard what he said just now, and she must be very angry because the light white fog had turned black. Could she still see the sun tomorrow? Buttface was quick-witted, and he rolled his dog eyes and fainted. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she was about to die. As the saying goes, one should never hit a person in the face, and one should never expose a person's shortcomings. This Buttface was literally sprinkling salt on her wound. If she didn't peel off a layer of skin today, her name wouldn't be Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu kicked Buttface onto the stone wall. Buttface fell with a choking sound and pretended to wake up. Little fairy? You're back? I must have been sleepwalking just now. I didn't say anything crazy, did I? Buttface blinked his dog eyes and said. Yun Chujiu sneered. Make it up. Keep making it up. Buttface knew that it was useless to continue acting. He knelt on the ground and reached out his front paw to slap his dog face a few times. I told you to be mean. I told you to make it up. You really can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth. Little fairy, I was wrong. Please spare me this time. I will definitely turn over a new leaf and become a dog again in the future. Seeing that Yun Chujiu did not have any reaction, Buttface knew that his anger had not subsided yet. He sobbed and said, Little fairy, please forgive me on account of my young and ignorant age. Hei Xinjiu was furious. Young and ignorant? How could you be so shameless? You are about to turn into a fossil, and you are still young. Seeing that Yun Chujiu's anger was still increasing, Buttface sobbed again and said, Little fairy, I said that because I was jealous. As a single dog, I was jealous of you and your majesty's sweetness, so I made up some nonsense. Isn't there a saying? Jealousy makes people ugly. I was blinded by jealousy just now. Little fairy, please forgive a miserable single dog. I've lived for so many years, and I don't even have a lover. I'm the saddest one. Yun Chujiu glared at Buttface. I don't have time to deal with you now. When this matter is over, I'll let you know what it's like to live a life worse than death. Buttface heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, this hurdle in front of him was over. As for what would happen in the future, he would deal with it in the future. Yun Chujiu glanced at the large metal basins. There were only 3 drops of heavenly soul water. It was not that Yun Chujiu's eyesight was good, but the heaven's soul water was different from ordinary water. When it fell into the basin, it would not disperse. Instead, it remained in the shape of a water drop. She could even pick it up with her hands. Chapter 44-48. Tuck your tail between your legs and become a dog. Yun Chujiu frowned. According to this speed, it would take at least 10 days to gather enough heaven's soul water. However, it was not bad to use this time to cultivate. Therefore, Yun Chujiu directly swallowed the 3 drops of heaven's soul water and began to cultivate. Buttface was extremely obedient and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It couldn't be helped since it had a guilty conscience. Yun Chujiu could not be bothered with it, so she made it swallow the heaven's soul water and cultivate together. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Yun Chujia's elemental energy had also soared from the first level to the 8th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Moreover, with the help of the Heaven Soul Water, she would continue to break through after the stages. Dog 2 rolled and climbed up to the 30th level, which was equivalent to the second level of the Ghost Clan's Yuan Sheng, which was much higher than Yun Chujia's elemental energy. This was mainly because it had cultivated elemental energy to begin with, so it naturally cultivated faster than Yun Chujio. If it was in the past, this fellow would have been showing off in front of Yun Chujio long ago, but how would it dare to show off now? It could only obediently tuck its tail between its legs and act like a dog. Although Yun Chujio felt that the Heaven Soul Water she had collected was still not enough, time was limited, so she could only do so. Before leaving, Dog 2 was very reluctant to part with Big Mushroom. Yun Chujio said coldly, "Since you are so reluctant to part with it, then you can stay here." Dog 2 immediately swore. "Little fairy, what are you saying? Dog 2, will follow you for the rest of my life. I will never leave you." Yun Chujio kicked him, then put him into her origin beast bag and left the cave. When they reached the exit of the valley, they met up with Captain Luo and the others. Captain Luo and the others were looking forward to it. After pondering for a few days, they had guessed that Qing Luo must have changed her core, but they didn't know what she was. Yun Chujio glanced at them and said, "I won't beat around the bush with you. I also learned by chance that the current Princess Meiyan is a fake. She is the Princess Meiyan from 10,000 years ago." Yun Chujio roughly told them what she knew, but she did not mention the identity of the mute girl. "I don't need to tell you that if we don't do anything and return to the royal hunting group, then only death awaits us." Captain Luo and the others knew that Yun Chujio was right. Now that they knew the secret of Princess Meiyan, she would definitely kill them to silence them. However, Princess Meiyan's power was huge. How could they keep their lives? "Why don't we disband on the spot?" "I don't believe that Princess Meiyan would send people to capture all of us," a hunter said with uncertainty. Yun Chujio snorted. "Escape? Where?" "Once Princess Meiyan regains her previous strength, the whole ghost region will suffer along with her. You've seen the evil formation used by the guards. Princess Meiyan has mastered evil techniques. Maybe she will sacrifice the whole ghost region to achieve her goal in the future. Besides, don't you all have relatives? She just needs to find an excuse to capture and kill the people you care about. Is this the result you all want?" Of course, this was not the result that everyone wanted, but after thinking about it, they really did not have any way to survive. They simply had no way to go against Princess Meiyan. Captain Luo's reaction was faster than the others. He asked tentatively, "Missing, our lives were saved by you. If you have any good ideas, why don't you tell us?" Chapter 44-49. The mute girl went missing. The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. "I do have an idea, but I don't know if you guys dare to do it." Captain Luo didn't say it out loud. He just asked, "What idea?" "Let's pretend that nothing happened and go back to the royal hunting group to report to them normally," Yun Chujio said indifferently. "What?" Everyone was instantly dumbfounded. Report back to the royal hunting group normally? Wasn't this courting death? Yun Chujio laughed lightly. "I know what you guys are thinking, but the most dangerous place is the safest place. Those guards have all died. Princess Meiyan won't be able to find the truth for a while, so she won't act rashly. And we can use this time to completely incite some people. I believe that most of the people in the royal hunting group won't support that old witch. They just lack an opportunity. As long as we do our best, we won't be afraid that no one will support us. You can choose whether to hide in fear or to uphold justice." The hunters were hesitant because there was a risk in choosing either method. Yun Chujio did not rush them and calmly waited for their final decision. After a moment, Tu Ziji said, "Instead of being afraid, why not take a risk? If we topple the royal family, we can be considered to have contributed greatly to the founding of the country in the future. Our family will be distinguished and noble in the future, and our lives will not be in vain." Everyone could not help but feel a little moved. Who was willing to be a hunter for the rest of their lives? Even if they were hunters of the Imperial Hunting Group, they would still be hunters, right? Hence, some of the braver ones followed suit. Everyone had the mentality of following the crowd, so they began to make a racket and were willing to follow Yun Chujo back to the Imperial Hunting Group. Yun Chujo nodded and said, "We can't have countless dragons. Who do you think is better to be the leader? I think I'm quite suitable, what do you think?" Although everyone felt that Yun Chujo was a little thick-skinned, she was really the best candidate. Yun Chujo gave some instructions before everyone returned to the Royal Hunting Group. Yun Chujo did not find the mute girl when she arrived at the residence. She thought that she had gone to chop firewood, so she did not care. However, the mute girl still did not return at night, so she was a little anxious. After asking the servants in the kitchen, she found out that the mute girl had been missing for a few days and no one knew where she went. Yun Chujo's heart sank. She did not want anything to happen to the mute girl, whether it was for personal or professional reasons. Did she run away or was she harmed by Princess Mayan? However, she thought that the mute girl had a lot of ghost talismans, so nothing should happen to her. It was very likely that she found something was wrong and went to the flat area to look for Short Fatty, then returned to the base area to see Sha Wuhan together. She wanted to return to the base area to take a look, but she could not get away now. She could only wait for the matter to temporarily come to an end before she went to look for the mute girl's whereabouts. Captain Luo acted as if nothing had happened and handed over the 10 purple-feathered ghost lawns. In private, he revealed some things about the Tianding Valley to a few team leaders who were on good terms with him, to test their reactions. Of course, He Xinjiu asked him to make things more complicated. He said that Princess Mayan needed the blood of 10,000 cultivators above the second layer of the original Saint Realm. Perhaps the entire Royal Hunting Group would be killed in the future. The hunters of the second team also spread the news. Soon, the rumors swept the entire Royal Hunting Group. Chapter 4450 might as well be reversed. The rumors grew more and more intense. As the rumors spread too quickly, it was already too late for the captain of the Royal Hunting Group to stop them. Everything would leave a trace. As long as one was suspicious, they would remember things that they had neglected in the past. Only then did everyone feel that Princess Mayan's style of doing things in the past 3 years was indeed very different from the past. In the past, Princess Mayan was just a figurehead and would not participate in the matters of the Royal Hunting Group at all. However, in the past 3 years, Princess Mayan had frequently made them carry out all sorts of strange missions. People at Captain Chi's level knew more inside information than others. Although some of the mission leaders did not say who gave the orders, it just so happened that this Captain Morong was personally appointed by Princess Mayan 3 years ago. No one would believe that there was nothing fishy about this. Yun Chujo was full of bad ideas. She remembered that Tu Ziji had seen Captain Morong talking to the masked guards before, so she could not help but scheme. She transformed into the flattering guard by Princess Mayan's side and came to see Captain Morong in the middle of the night. Although Captain Morong found it strange that Yun Chuji's elemental energy was low, he did not suspect that there was someone pretending to be her. Commander Morong asked with some urgency, "Sir, are those rumors true? Could it be that 200 people aren't enough? Does the princess need the blood of 10,000 people?" Yun Chujo snorted coldly. "So, what if there are 10,000 people? Don't worry, the princess will not mistreat you." Commander Morong said somewhat timidly, "Sir, previously, the princess said that those things were prepared for the ghost ancestor. Why is it now that the princess wants to use them for herself?" Yun Chujo pursed her lips in her heart. This Captain Morong was really stupid. No wonder Princess Mayan had chosen him to be the captain. He was really easy to fool. You don't have to talk so much nonsense. Think of a way to trick 2 more groups to go to the bottom of Demon's Grimace. Our princess wants to use their blood to cultivate. If you delay the princess' important matter, you'll just have to wait for death." Yun Chujo said arrogantly. Captain Morong said with some hesitation, "Must we do this? If 2 groups die at once, won't that confirm those rumors?" "Humph. So, what if it's confirmed? Those cowards still dare to go against the princess and the imperial family? In the princess' eyes, they're just like pigs and dogs. If they die, so be it, Yun Chujio said arrogantly. The few captains who were secretly hiding outside the tent were so angry that they were about to explode. They could not bear it anymore and immediately rushed into the tent with a roar. Captain Morong was so scared that he collapsed on his chair. He was able to become the captain because Princess Mayan had protected him. Otherwise, he would only be a captain. Now that the matter was exposed, he was immediately scared out of his wits. However, Yun Chujio was not afraid at all. Her attitude was still arrogant and domineering. Since you heard it, it saved us a lot of trouble. As long as you work hard for the princess, you will be rewarded. However, the princess urgently needs the blood of high-level cultivators. Which one of you is willing to send 2 teams to Demon's Grimace? The team leaders were so angry that they were twitching. At first, they thought that the rumors could not be trusted. But now, it seemed that Princess Mayan really intended to use the blood of tens of thousands of people to cultivate. She was simply a devil. Captain Shi gritted his teeth and said, "Brothers, now that things have come to this point, if we still don't make a sound, we will be sitting ducks. Why don't we rebel today? Capture the 2 of them and use them to announce to the world that we have made a name for ourselves." Chapter 4451. Return to the base region. After hearing Captain Chi's words, the others immediately attacked Captain Morong and Yun Chujio, trying to control them and give them an explanation. Naturally, Yun Chujio would not obediently surrender. She took out a stack of talismans and threw them out. She arrogantly shouted, "You bunch of trash. To tell you the truth, our princess already has a foolproof plan. None of you idiots will survive." After Hei Shinjio finished shouting, she ran away. Naturally, no one could catch her, because this fellow quickly transformed into King Luo's appearance. No matter how hard they dug, they would not be able to find her. Captain Chi and the others were naturally very disappointed that they could not catch Yun Chujio. Fortunately, they managed to control Captain Morong, so they had a witness. Recalling Yun Chujio's vicious words, everyone immediately gathered together to discuss. Since that person had already said those words, there was no time to delay. They had to think of a way to get rid of Princess Mayan and overthrow the royal family. Otherwise, no one would be able to survive. Immediately, the royal hunting squad began a huge purge. All of Captain Morong's direct descendants were killed, and the matter of Princess Mayan was also spread. Hei Shinjio secretly watched the development of the situation and felt that she was awesome. If it wasn't for her adding fuel to the fire behind the scenes, how could these people resist? Most people would only resist when their own lives were in danger. What this fellow wanted to do the most now was to think of a way to become the leader of the royal hunting group. However, this was too difficult. She didn't have the qualifications or the elemental energy. It wasn't as if those people's brains were damaged. They definitely wouldn't approve of her. What should she do? This fellow thought about it and decided to return to the base domain to look for the mute girl first. The mute girl's identity was special. Captain Chi and the others would definitely let the mute girl become the leader for the sake of their reputation and for the sake of balancing each other. In this way, she could use the mute girl to achieve her ultimate goal of obtaining leadership. Yun Chujio thought of this, and after bidding farewell to 2 Ziji, she left the royal hunting group and rushed to the base domain. Hei Shinjio could change her appearance at will, so she did not encounter any obstacles on the way. 10 days later, Hei Shinjio arrived at the Thunder Hunting Group's base. The moment she saw the mute girl, Hei Xinjia's worried heart was finally relieved. It turned out that after Yun Chujio left, Princess Mayan once again sent guards to the royal hunting group to investigate the situation of the people who went to Crest Mountain that day, and they had to investigate each and every one of them. The mute girl was afraid that she would be seen through, so she took the opportunity to cut firewood and escape to the level domain. Then, she went to the Heavenly Phoenix Hunting Regiment to find the Short Fatty. Under the escort of the Short Fatty, she went to the base domain and found Sha Wuhan. The short fatty said with a face full of grief and indignation, "Little Joe, you're too ungrateful. You and 2ZG left just like that, leaving me alone in the Heavenly Phoenix hunting regiment. Do you know how miserable I've been these days?" Yun Chujio laughed dryly. "Second brother, I had no choice at that time. If word got out, it would be terrible. Moreover, second brother, you've always been vigilant. I believe that you'll definitely be safe and sound." The facts proved that my guess was right. "Second brother, not only can you protect yourself, but you also sent Miss Mei Yen to the base region. You're indeed a hero without equal." When the short and fat man heard Yun Chujio's words, he immediately threw his little depression to the back of his mind and started to brag about his heroic deeds. Chapter 4452. Wishying him? Yun Chujio, Sha Wuhan, and the others were speechless. None of them had the patience to listen to the short and fat man's bragging. However, Yun Chujio was surprised to find that the mute girl, who was also Princess Mei Yen, was actually listening with great interest, and her eyes were sparkling. Yun Chujio's heart was like a beeping dog. Was this a bastard eyeing a mungbean? Wasn't this like a fresh flower being placed on something? However, after thinking about it, she understood why Princess Mei Yen had such a bad taste in short fatty. Princess Mei Yen had suffered a huge blow after experiencing such a huge change. Ever since she was in trouble, she had been bullied and neglected. After she arrived at the Pingcheng realm, Short Fatty had escorted her all the way to the Pingcheng realm. He must have been extremely caring towards her along the way. In addition to that, they had been living together day and night. Naturally, they had a good impression of each other. Furthermore, although the Short Fatty looked average, his personality was carefree and optimistic. To Princess Mei Yen, who had always been in the dark world, this was as attractive as the scorching sun. It was not difficult to understand why she had taken a liking to the Short Fatty. However, it seemed that the Short Fatty had not discovered Princess Mei Yan's feelings for him. Otherwise, he would not have called her his niece. From Sha Yuan's point of view, there was nothing wrong with the Short Fatty calling her his niece. Yun Chujio saw Princess Mei Yan's embarrassed and angry expression when she heard the Short Fatty call her his niece. She almost laughed out loud. No wonder the Short Fatty had always been single. His EQ was truly exceptional. Yun Chujio gave the mute girl 3 drops of heavenly soul water and divided the heavenly soul water to Sha Wuhan and the others. After the mute girl swallowed the heavenly soul water, her origin energy soared, unexpectedly rising from the 7th level of the Origin Venerable Realm to the 2nd level of the Origin Sage Realm. Moreover, it seemed that her cultivation speed would be very fast in the future. As Sha Wuhan had previously been crippled of his origin energy and cultivated anew, the effect was very obvious. His origin energy also rushed to the 2nd level of the Origin Sage Realm. Although the effect was also obvious for the others, due to the reason of their constitution, the increase in their levels wasn't particularly great, but it was enough to make them go wild with joy. During this period, Yun Chujio squandered and swallowed 3 drops of Heaven's soul water. Finally, she rolled and climbed up to the 2nd layer of Yuansheng, finally not so useless anymore. Yun Chujio felt that it was about time, so she decided to bring Princess Mei Yen and Sha Wuhan back to the royal hunting group. The Short Fatty was anxious. He secretly found Yun Chujio and begged, "Little Joe, do you still have Heaven's soul water? Can you give second brother another drop?" Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. "I do have it, but haven't I already given you your share? Why do you still want it?" The short and fat man thickened his skin and said, "Little Joe, you only brought Princess Mei Yen and eldest brother. You're too lonely. If you bring me along, you'll have more help, right?" Yun Chujio laughed lightly. "Second brother, we're not here to play around. That Princess Mei Yen is very strange. If we go to the Imperial region, we might lose our lives. Are you sure you want to go?" The Short Fatty gritted his teeth and said, "That old woman caused Mei Yan's niece to be so miserable. If I don't kill her, it will be difficult to resolve the hatred in my heart." Little Jiu just secretly gives second brother a drop. Second brother will never tell anyone. I beg you. Yun Chujiu sighed in her heart. The power of love was indeed very great. It actually made this cowardly short fatty become brave. Of course, at this moment, the short fatty might only feel that he was bursting with a sense of justice and did not realize that this was the budding of love. In order to satisfy her bad taste as a matchmaker, He Xinjiu immediately generously gave the short fatty a drop of heaven's soul water. Chapter 44-53. She was the real princess. Mei Yan, the short and fat man, was extremely grateful to Yun Chujiu. He kept the heaven's soul water and prepared to break through on the way. The next morning, the four of them left the Thunder Hunting Group's base and headed to the Imperial region. They didn't encounter any problems when they passed through the flat region. However, when they reached the border of the Imperial region, they discovered that the defenses were much tighter than before. Yun Chujiu did not rashly let Princess Mei Yan and the others go forward. Instead, she transformed into a stomach-patterned ghost butterfly and flew over to investigate the situation. The information that she obtained from the few words of those people caused Yun Chujiu's heart to sink. She did not expect that after only 20 days, the situation would take a sharp turn for the worse. First, the imperial family and Princess Mei Yan came out one after another to refute the rumors. They said that those were just rumors and that they were all false accusations. Following that, the crown prince of the Yan clan, Aog, brought 10,000 elite soldiers of the Yan clan to the imperial city. Together with the imperial guards of the imperial family, they trapped the imperial hunting regiment at Crest Mountain. After that, the imperial family began to persuade them to surrender. Some of the hunters who were originally fence-sitters began to surrender. If it wasn't for Captain Shi and the others being alert, they would probably have been killed in one fell swoop from both inside and outside. Yun Chujiu couldn't help but wonder, was that Aog deceived by Princess Mei Yan, or did he have other motives? He actually brought 10,000 elites over to help. No matter what, she had to go over and take a look first. Hence, Yun Chujiu transformed into a small leader who guarded the border and brought Princess Mei Yan and the other two into the imperial region. The four of them galloped all the way until they reached the vicinity of Jiguan Mountain on this day. The entrance of Jiguan Mountain had already been occupied by the Nightmare Clan and the Royal Guards. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to enter. However, this was obviously not a problem for He Xinjiu. She let the three of them hide in a hidden place while she transformed into the stomach-patterned ghost butterfly once again and flew into the enemy's camp. Coincidentally, Princess Mei Yan and Aog had arrived just as she flew into the camp. Princess Mei Yan must have obtained enough fresh blood because her appearance had already recovered, and she was even more beautiful. As for Aog beside her, he was much more reserved than before. His eyes were deep and profound, and one could not see his true emotions clearly. Yun Chujiu originally wanted to fly directly into Crest Mountain, but now that the two of them had arrived, she wanted to eavesdrop on some inside information. Thus, she sneakily landed on the tent and prepared to eavesdrop. After Princess Mei Yan and Aog sat down, they inquired about the progress of the matter and did not say anything more. Then they left. Yun Chujiu could not help but feel a little disappointed. She thought that she would be able to hear something important, but she did not expect to be so happy for nothing. Yun Chujiu had the intention to follow Princess Mei Yan, but when she thought about the spirit-locking pearl on her body, she gave up the idea. What she relied on was the ability to change at will. If she did not have this trump card, then she would be a weakling. She circled around the camp, locked onto a general, and killed him. Then, she transformed into his appearance and openly wore a mask to Sha Wuhin and the other two as they passed through the camp. The garrison of the camp discovered that it was too late to chase after them. This was because Yun Chujiu and the others had already entered the territory of the Royal Hunting Group. Yun Chujiu once again transformed into King Luo's appearance and shouted at the hunters of the Royal Hunting Group, "The real Princess Mei Yan is here." Aren't you guys going to hurry up and deliver the message to the one who is in charge? Captain Chi and the others were completely confused when they received the report, but they still came out. Princess Meiyan took off her mask and revealed her original appearance. Captain Chi and the others were still skeptical. There were too many people in the world who looked similar. How could she prove that she was the real Princess Meiyan? Chapter 4454. The red skeleton of a demon. At this moment, Sha Wuhan, who was beside Princess Meiyan, took off his mask and said to Captain Chi, "Big Brother Chi, you should at least recognize me, right? I'm Wuhan." Captain Chi carefully identified him and then said in disbelief, "Wuhan? You're a Wuhan kid?" Sha Wuhan's tiger-like eyes were filled with tears as he nodded. "Big Brother Chi, back then, you and my big brother had the best relationship. It was thanks to your protection that I was able to save my life back then." Captain Chi only confirmed Sha Wuhan's identity when he saw that Sha Wuhan had told him what had happened back then. Then, he asked Princess Meiyan a few more questions and finally confirmed Princess Meiyan's identity. Captain Chi and the others were currently worrying about not being able to clear their names. The arrival of Princess Meiyan and the others was simply too timely. Thus, the position of leader was smoothly handed over to Princess Meiyan. Of course, this so-called leader position was just an empty title. Yun Chujiu did not care about this. Sooner or later, she would secure this empty position. However, before that, she had to go to Hell's Grimace to get the 80 pure Een ladies out. They were the best witnesses. Immediately, Yun Chujiu went to Hell's Grimace. She first went to the cave that had a blood pool, but found that the cave had already been destroyed. Princess Meiyan must have known that the matter had been exposed, so she destroyed the evidence in the cave. Yun Chujiu went to the front of the Black Cliff again and spent a lot of effort to disperse the vampire bats. Only then did she smear the rippling flowers juice on the stone wall and open the arched door. As soon as she entered, before Yun Chujiu could say anything, she heard the red skeleton say, "Little lady, why are you here? Didn't you say that it would be half a year? How long has it been? Why are you here already? If you have nothing else to do, you can go back. I will help you take good care of these young ladies." Young ladies? Yun Chujiu suddenly felt that things seemed to have gone astray. Didn't that bone spirit despise those young ladies? Why did she become a young lady now? Cut the crap. I have something important to do. I want to take them away, Yun Chujiu said coldly. The red skeleton said tentatively, "Why don't you take half of them away first? There are so many people anyway. You can't use them all, right?" Hearing the red skeleton's words, Yun Chujiu felt that something was wrong. Could this damn bone spirit have killed those girls? "Let me in quickly, bone spirit. If I find out that you have done something outrageous, I will beat you to a pulp," Yun Chujiu said fiercely. The red skeleton said with a guilty conscience, "What kind of outrageous thing can I do? Besides, even if I have evil intentions, I don't have the ability, do I?" Yun Chujiu thought to herself, this stinky and shameless person is actually a pervert. Fortunately, it was just a skeleton and couldn't do anything bad even if it wanted to. Otherwise, she would have really sent those girls into the jaws of a tiger. The red skeleton was afraid that Yun Chujiu would get angry, so it quickly sent Yun Chujiu directly to the 18th level of the Prison of Inheritance. Yun Chujiu saw the situation in front of her and was so angry that she was amused. She saw the red skeleton lying on a recliner while those girls were hammering their legs, playing music, and some were even performing songs and dances. Damn it, did this damned bone spirit think that it was a local emperor? Besides, you only have 2 legs. Why are you hammering? Aren't you afraid of being directly hammered into bone fragments? Chapter 4455. Emptiness and loneliness. The bone spirit that was acting arrogantly felt Yun Chujiu's cold gaze. It immediately stood up from the recliner and said with a guilty conscience, "They are all doing this voluntarily. They are all performing some small acts for me to thank me for taking them in. If you don't believe me, you can ask them." Yun Chujiu snorted coldly. I don't have the time. Hurry up and send us out. I still have important things to do. The red skeleton saw that Yunchujia's expression was not good and was afraid that this little ancestor would come and harm it, so it hurriedly took credit. Little great-aunt, I didn't order them around for nothing. Look at their elemental energy levels. They are much higher than when they came in. Moreover, I even taught them some inheritances. Although it was not a high-grade inheritance, it was still very rare. I did this so that they could help little great-aunt when they came out. Yun Chujio did not pay too much attention earlier. Now that she heard the red skeleton's words, she looked at those young girls. Indeed, their elemental energy was a little higher than when they entered. It was likely that the red skeleton had given them some medicinal pills. When she thought about how Yun Chujio had said that she had given them some inheritances, she could not help but have a thought. Although she had managed to subdue the second group, those few people were not enough. Moreover, Princess Mei Yan needed someone to protect her, so these young ladies could be used. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio's attitude towards the red skeleton became a little better. She chuckled and said, I didn't realize that you were so thoughtful. Since that's the case, I won't come to harm you in the future. You should take care of yourself. When the red skeleton heard Yun Chujio's words, it felt a trace of disappointment in its heart. It scolded itself. Are you cheap? Isn't it a good thing that this little pervert will never come again? You actually feel a little disappointed. You are simply too cheap. Yun Chujio did not know what the red skeleton was thinking and urged, Bone Spirit, quickly let us out. I still have a lot of things to do. The red skeleton's emotions were complicated as it teleported Yun Chujio and the girls out of the inheritance prison. Sigh. Why did it feel so lonely? It was really empty and lonely. After Yun Chujio brought the girls back to the royal hunting group, Princess Mei Yan immediately organized these girls into a small team, and Yun Chujio instantly became the leader of this female team. This way, Yun Chujio had the same status as Captain Chi and the others. No matter how dissatisfied they were, since it was Princess Mei Yan's order, they couldn't say anything. However, they didn't think much of Yun Chujio and the women's team. However, after Yun Chujio led the women's team and successfully robbed the enemy camp 3 times, they were completely convinced. Ever since they were besieged, not to mention robbing the other party, it was already good enough not to be robbed by the other party. It seemed that Ng Qingluo and her women's team still had some tricks up their sleeves. During this period of time, Yun Chujio had also thought of a way to spread a lot of news outside through the blockade. Other than some facts, she had also added some things like Princess Mei Yan wanting to use the blood of 100,000 people to cultivate her demonic arts. The Yen clan wanted to take over the ghost region as their own, and there was a lot of explosive news. For a time, rumors spread everywhere. Some of the aristocratic families were already dissatisfied with the Yen clan sending their elites, and now they were even more conflicted. Regardless of whether Princess Mei Yan's matter was true or not, this was all a matter of their ghost clan. Why would their Yen clan join in? It was obvious that they did not have good intentions. Chapter 4456. The Detestable Ghost. Following that, Hei Xinjiu disguised herself as a general of the Nightmare Clan. She spouted nonsense in the base, such as saying that the Ghost Clan was born lowly and was only fit to carry shoes for the Nightmare Clan. She also said that the Nightmare Clan's territory would become the Nightmare Clan's territory in the future. All in all, she was saying things that made the aristocratic families and the commoners of the Ghost Clan uneasy. After Hei Xinjiu said those words that would sow discord, she found an excuse to slip away. At this moment, those aristocratic families couldn't sit still any longer. They all expressed their protest and requested the imperial family to expel the Nightmare Clan from the country. Although Princess Mei Yan wished she could kill all these stumbling blocks, she was still in her fledgling stage and didn't dare to go too far. She could only try her best to appease them. At this moment, she couldn't care less about those people from the Imperial Hunting Group. She only ordered her people to tightly seal the exit of the Crest Mountain. Yun Chujio took the opportunity to return the favor. She made the girls cry at the entrance of the enemy camp. The content of their cries was that Princess Mayan was heartless and had ulterior motives. She colluded with the Yen clan to destroy Yun Yun of the Ghost Territory. After the initial attack was done, He Xinjiu appeared in person. My fellow members of the Ghost Clan, let's not talk about the right and wrong between us. Princess Mayan's bringing the Yen clan here is like inviting a wolf into the house. If you continue to be obstinate, the Ghost Realm will fall into the hands of the Nightmare Clan in the end. Do you think that I'm exaggerating? Am I talking nonsense? Look at how the word nightmare is written. One hates a ghost. Adding them up, they are a nuisance to the Ghost Clan. They are already so brazen. Can't you see their sinister intentions? Princess Mei Yan is a person with 4 souls and 7 bodies. Such a person is especially favored by the ghost ancestor. The final victory will definitely belong to the righteous army led by Princess Mei Yan. As long as you abandon the dark and join the light, you will be the heroes of the Ghost Clan. If you make mistakes again and again, you will be the sinners of the Ghost Clan. Whether you are heroes or sinners is only a matter of your thoughts. You can choose for yourselves. The Nightmare Race members in the encampment were furious. This damned girl was too crafty. She had actually used their race's name as an excuse. Moreover, they did not even know how to refute her words. The hearts of the Ghost Race members wavered. On one hand, the appearance of Princess Mei Yan and those young girls had confirmed Princess Mei Yan's despicable actions. On the other hand, they were very against the Nightmare Race. Naturally, they were not willing to be on their side. As a result, a large number of the Ghost Clan turned against them and sided with Princess Mei Yan. When the news reached Princess Mayan's ears, she was almost angered to death. She had someone invite Aog to her palace. Your Highness, I wonder if you have found the general who spoke so arrogantly before? Now, those old fellows from the aristocratic families have repeatedly not forced our Ghost Clan's emperor to expel your Yen clan's army from the country. Do you have any good ideas? Princess Mayan's brows were slightly furrowed, and she looked extremely worried. Aoj's expression did not change much. He said indifferently, We have found him, but there's only one corpse left. I originally did not intend to send an army over. Since the princess is in such a difficult position, then our Yen clan's army will withdraw. Princess Mei Yan was furious. She originally thought that Aog was an idiot. She did not expect that after the Yen clan's army had entered the Ghost region, they would become difficult to deal with. Princess Mei Yan had a tearful look on her face as she said with a slight sob, Crown Prince, there are many rumors that are slandering me right now. I am already at a loss. In the future, we will be a family, and this ghost realm will be yours sooner or later. I would like to request the Crown Prince to take out a charter. Chapter 4457 AOG. A cold smile flashed across Aoj's eyes. However, it disappeared in an instant. He sighed and said, Princess, it's not that I don't pity you. It's mainly because this is an internal matter of your Ghost Clan. It's not good for me to interfere. However, since you've already said this much, I'll personally bring people to the Crest Mountain to take a look and then discuss the next step. Hearing this, Princess Mei Yan immediately revealed a delighted expression. Then, she said shyly, Your Highness, I'll wait for your good news. When the time comes, I'll definitely be grateful to you. As Princess Mei Yan said this, she gave Aog a seductive glance. Aog's eyes instantly became a little infatuated. After a long while, he said, Princess, I'll wait for your good news. I'll be leaving first. After Aog left, a cold smile appeared on Princess Mei Yan's face. She had not recovered her strength and did not have sufficient manpower. She could only make use of Aog. With her methods, there was no need to worry that Aog would not take the bait. On the other side, after Aog left the imperial palace, his eyes were filled with coldness. An old witch who had taken over his body still wanted to seduce him? He really overestimated himself. Their Nightmare Race had their own charm, and as the Crown Prince of the Nightmare Race, he was even better at it than the average Nightmare Race. Princess Mayan wanted to seduce him? How ridiculous. Mo Wan said from the side, Your Highness, are we really going to help that fake Princess Mayan deal with those people from Crest Mountain? Mo Wan had been infatuated with Princess Pian. Later, because the Prince of Onkong was too arrogant, Aog directly imprisoned the Prince of Onkong and even Princess Pian Pian. Mo Wan begged bitterly, and Aog finally released Princess Pian. However, the engagement between the two was annulled. Princess Pian's family had lost power, and she was already disheartened with Aog. She was finally moved by Mo Wan's deep affection, and the two later got married. Mo Wan was even more loyal to Aog because of this matter. Therefore, this time, Aog also brought him to the ghost region. Hearing Mo Wan's question, Aog sneered. She's planning to use someone else to kill us. We might as well beat her at her own game. She wants to covet our dark continent and the far west land. What wishful thinking. We can use this opportunity to control the ghost realm. After all, the ghost realm is obviously more suitable for our nightmare clan than the dark continent or the far west land. Mo Wan nodded. In the past, they had only read about the ghost domain in the ancient records. Unexpectedly, after arriving here, they found that their nightmare clan's cultivation speed would greatly increase after arriving at the ghost domain. Such a fat piece of meat. Naturally, they wouldn't let it go. Aog and Mo Wan brought their elite subordinates to the garrison of the Crest Mountain. Coincidentally, Yun Chujio came to persuade them to surrender. This fellow thought that since he had nothing better to do, he would come over whenever he had nothing better to do. He would come and persuade as many of them as he could. When she saw Aog bringing his men over, she raised her voice. Io, did you see that? The crown prince of the Yen clan has brought his men over again. He wants to take over the military power completely. TSK, this is like a son-in-law who wants to take over his father-in-law's family's property. How shameless. Mo Wan was instantly enraged. What nonsense are you spouting? You people have ulterior motives to slander Princess Mei Yan and the royal family. You even tried to sow discord between our two races. You're simply distorting the truth. Yun Chujio had long disliked this Mo Wan. If he had not stared at her back then, she would not have been trapped in the far west. Wanna argue with her? I can't torture him to death. Chapter 4458 Side Consort Yun Chujio curled her lips. I've reversed black and white? You're most likely colorblind, right? Or are you completely blind? The real Princess Mei Yan is with us. The one you're talking about is a fake, an old witch who uses human blood to cultivate. TSK, I see that your Yen clan's crown prince also looks like a human, but you've actually taken a fancy to that old witch? You're really desperate. The ghosts behind Yun Chujio heard Yun Chujio's interesting words and laughed out loud. Mo Wan was about to scold her, but Aog waved his hand. Mo Wan could only glare at Yun Chujio with hatred and did not say a word. Aog did not say a word. He just kept staring at Yun Chujio. His inquisitive gaze made He Xinjiu feel a little uneasy. Damn it, could it be that Aog recognized her? That was impossible. Her current appearance was thousands of miles different from before. Not to mention Aog, even people who were familiar with her might not be able to recognize her. How could Aog recognize her? Moreover, how could Aog think that she would come to the ghost realm? Therefore, this fellow only felt uneasy for a moment, and then calmly allowed Aog to size her up. She curled the corners of her lips and said with a smile that was not a smile, TSK, Crown Prince Aog, although I am as beautiful as a flower, what do you mean by looking at me like that? Could it be that you think that that old witch, Princess Mei Yan, is not good enough for you and are planning to have designs on me? Aog raised his eyebrows slightly. Miss Ing is naturally beautiful. Although the position of the main concubine has already belonged to Princess Mei Yan, as long as you obediently surrender, I will take you in as a side concubine of the crown prince. How about that? He Xinjia's heart was like a beeping dog. This Aog wanted to take her in as a side concubine just because he saw her once. Could it be that she only had the face of a side concubine? Yun Chujio sneered. Crown Prince Aog, do you really take yourself seriously? Even if I were to marry anyone, I would not marry you. You clearly know that Princess Mayan is a fake, but you still act as an accomplice for the tiger. Clearly, you have an ulterior motive. Most likely, it's to occupy the ghost region. How shameless. People like you will not have a good ending. Sooner or later, you will die without a burial place. Emol Wan was so angry that his face turned red. However, when he saw the expression on his own crown prince's face, it was as if he had bawled a dog. Not only was his own crown prince not angry, he even seemed to be in high spirits. Could it be that His Highness was asking for a scolding? Aog activated the isolation array and said, I have dispatched another 10,000 elites. It will be easy for me to deal with you people. However, as long as you submit to me, I can help you kill Princess Mei Yan and marry the real Princess Mei Yan. Furthermore, Miss Ing is very much like an old friend of mine. As long as you listen to me obediently, I can make you a noble consort after I succeed the throne in the future. Yun Chujio's heart relaxed. It turned out that this Aog only felt like her. He had scared her to death. She had thought that she would still be recognized even after she had become like this. She said coldly, Crown Prince Aog, I also want to give you a piece of advice. Don't make the same mistake over and over again. The Ghost Clan and the Yen Clan originally did not interfere with each other, so why do you have to get involved in this muddy water? Furthermore, what is not yours will never be yours. You can just obediently stay in your territory. Why do you have to occupy the ghost region? Aoj's expression turned cold. I only said so much to you because you are similar to my old friend. Since you don't know what's good for you, then there's nothing more to say. Just accept your death. Chapter 4459 was still on her mind. Aog removed the isolation array and gave another warning before arranging for the elites he brought to be stationed on the spot. Captain Chi and the others could not sit still any longer. They were already at a disadvantage to begin with, and now that Aog had brought 10,000 of the Nightmare Clan's elites, the outcome was almost certain. Yun Chujo pondered for a moment. To capture a thief, one must first capture the leader. Why not capture Aog first, and then use him to threaten the people of the Nightmare Clan? This way, the situation at Jiguan Mountain would be reversed immediately. Thus, that night, Hei Xinjiu transformed into a wisp of light mist and floated to the enemy camp. Aog's tent was very eye-catching. Yun Chujo found it almost effortlessly. This fellow saw that there was light coming out from inside the tent, so he did not dare to float inside directly. Instead, he attached himself to the tent and eavesdropped. Emol Wan's voice came from inside. Your Highness, you shouldn't have said anything about letting Ying Qingluo be a side concubine today. If this gets into the ears of Princess Mayan, I'm afraid she won't let it go. Aog said with a slightly cold tone. We're just using each other. She won't make a fuss. Besides, the initiative is no longer in her hands. It's not up to her. Your Highness, that Princess Mayan has a lot of evil techniques in her hands. Her guards wear masks all day long, so I'm afraid they won't be easy to deal with. Why do you have to make her unhappy? Besides, that Ying Qingluo is just a pretty girl. Why do you like her? Emol Wan said disapprovingly. Aog did not say anything for a long time. When Yun Chujio thought he would not answer, she heard him say, I just think that she is very similar to her. Aog did not continue after he said that. He only let out a faint sigh. Emol Wan said somewhat exasperatedly, Your Highness, have you not forgotten about that Yun Chujio of the human race? I don't understand. You haven't spent much time with her. Moreover, that Yun Chujio is full of schemes and evil schemes. If it weren't for her, our Yen clan would not have had internal strife. She is a jinx. Why have you taken a fancy to her? Moreover, it's been such a long time, and you still can't forget her? Didn't they say that she was taken back by the Yun family of Towering Sky Continent? She's probably already a biological child.
Don't even think about it.
Jinx? If it weren't for her, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to take the opportunity to eliminate the 4 great families. It's not that she's good, but she's different from others. Compared to her, the other women are like dead fish's eyes. They don't have her intelligence, Aog said slowly. Hei Shinjo, who had been eavesdropping, felt a little complicated. She didn't expect Aog to miss her so much. However, the 2 sides were now enemies. Although she felt that he had good taste, she couldn't be soft-hearted because of this. She had to teach him a lesson. Mo Wan listened to Aoj's words and said somewhat speechlessly, "Your Highness, let go of Yun Chuji's matter first. What should we do next?" Aog put away his drifting thoughts and said coldly, "Take down Jiguan Mountain as soon as possible, and then use it as a base to attack the Imperial City. As long as the Imperial City is in our hands, the rest of the matters will be easy to handle." Aog and Mo Wan discussed for a while, and then Mo Wan left. Yun Chujo was a little excited. As long as Aog fell asleep, she would float into the tent and restrain him, and the rest of the matters would be much easier to handle. After a while, there was no light in the tent. Hei Shinjo waited for a while to make sure there were no other sounds inside before floating into the tent. Chapter 4460. The Lord had arrived. Hei Shinjo used the weak light to discover that Aog had already fallen asleep. Hei Xinjia's heart leaped with joy. As long as she transformed into her human form, she would be able to restrain Aog. When that time came, TSK, she would be elated. However, this fellow tragically discovered that she was unable to transform anymore. This fellow had tried several times but to no avail. Only after a while did he realize that either Aog had a spirit-locking item on him, or that there was a spirit-locking formation inside the tent. Damn it, he was really smart. It was probably because of the incident with the Nightmare Clan General that he had taken precautions. Hei Shinjo had no choice but to leave angrily. So what if she didn't leave? If she were to transform into a human form in the distance, she would probably be captured before she could even reach the tent. If she were to be killed without being able to transform, then she would really be dead. She couldn't afford to take such a risk. The trump card that had always been successful could not be used now. One could imagine how depressed Hei Shinjo must be. In the next few days, this fellow was even more depressed. Aog led the Nightmare Soldiers and the Royal Guards of the Ghost Clan and forced everyone to retreat one after another. If they continued to retreat, they would only be able to retreat to the bottom of the Ghoul's Sorrow. The camp was filled with gloomy clouds and mist. Hei Shinjo did not have any good ideas. Although she was abnormal and powerful, Aog didn't know what kind of treasure he had. Yun Chujo had secretly gone there 3 times and failed. Even within 1,000 feet of Aog's tent, she couldn't change her form. In the middle of the night, Aog suddenly launched a surprise attack. Yun Chujo and the others were forced to the vicinity of Gue Jiancho. In the night, Aog was dressed in luxurious silver clothes. He looked at Yun Chujo arrogantly and said, "Ing Qingluo, now that you are in a desperate situation, aren't you going to surrender?" "Ing Qingluo, don't worry. As long as you surrender, you will be my side concubine. Moreover, as long as you don't resist, I will not harm your lives." To put it bluntly, who controls the ghost territory doesn't have any effect on you. Why do you have to continue resisting stubbornly? Whether you live or die, you can choose for yourselves. Yun Chujo was fuming in her heart. Aog had brought over 20,000 Nightmare Race troops and 10,000 Royal Guards. They only had a few thousand people on their side. The difference was too huge. However, the Nightmare Race's cultivation speed in the Ghost region was faster than the Ghost Race's. No matter how fast she was, she would not be able to turn the situation around in a short period of time. For now, the only plan was to go to Ghost Head's Grimace first and let everyone enter the inheritance prison. Then, the red skeleton would move the inheritance prison to another place. This way, everyone would be able to escape. However, putting aside whether the red skeleton would agree or not, doing so would be a little cowardly. It would probably be a blow to their morale. Aog saw that Yun Chujio did not say anything and thought that she was already prepared to surrender. A trace of pride flashed across his eyes. After subduing these people, he would think of a way to get rid of Princess Mayen. The ghost region would be within his grasp. Captain Chi and the others were somewhat moved. Now, they had no way out. Moreover, Aog was right. Regardless of whether it was the Ghost Clan or the Yen Clan, as long as they could survive, it was enough. Yun Chujio glanced at them and guessed their plans. Could it be that they could only give up on the Imperial region for now? She and Sha Wuhin could escape by relying on the prison of inheritance. However, all the hard work they had put in over the past few days would be for naught. At this moment, there was a commotion in the distance. A large number of Yen clan soldiers knelt on the ground. A voice that sounded like a tsunami rang out. Shengzun? Chapter 4461 looked down on the world. Ao's face instantly stiffened. Shengzun? Why was Shengzun here? Emol Wan's reaction was even more exaggerated. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. Although they had heard that Shengzun had appeared in the Dark Continent, there had been no news of him since then. Why had he suddenly appeared here? Shengzun's position in the hearts of the Yen tribesmen was like the ghost ancestor to the Ghost Clan. Not to mention Aog, the crown prince, even the Yen emperor, was nothing in front of Shengzun. Aog turned around stiffly, only to see a man wearing a silver mask slowly walking over under the moonlight. Although that man was only wearing plain white clothes, and although one could not see the man's face clearly, the dignity of looking down on the world made people involuntarily want to kneel down. He Xinjiu was stunned at first, then revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Wasn't this her gigolo? TSK, this way of appearing with an aura was really pretentious. Emolwan was overwhelmed by the huge pressure and knelt down on the ground with a plop. Ao's forehead was full of cold sweat. He wanted to persevere, but he still could not withstand the pressure of the Shengzun and knelt down on the ground. The pride in Ao's heart seemed to have been forcefully crushed by someone. He did not even dare to have the slightest bit of resistance. Was he the Shengzun? In front of this person, he could not help but feel inferior. Such a difference was like the bright moon and the candle flame. There was no comparison at all. The Shengzun did not say anything. He did not even look at Aog and the Yenrei soldiers. His gaze fell straight on Yun Chujio. Even though she had transformed into an unfamiliar appearance, he only needed a glance to know that this was his little Jiao. Yun Chujio originally wanted to laugh, but unknowingly, her face was already filled with tears. She revealed a bright smile with tears. "You're back." "Yes, I'm back." These two simple sentences were filled with a strong longing. Yun Chujio threw herself into the Lord's embrace and began to cry. The Lord tightened his grip on her, and Shengzun's eyes were sparkling. The others were confused when they saw the two embracing each other. What was going on? How did the Yen clan's Shengzun get involved with a ghost girl? What did he mean by coming back? Wasn't it said that Princess Mayen of the Ghost Clan was infatuated with Shengzun? Besides, how old was Ing Qingluo? How could she get involved with Shengzun? He Xinjiu wiped her tears and said fiercely, "Prince Charming, they bullied me. You have to avenge me. That Aog is so shameless that he wants to take me as his concubine." As soon as Yun Chujio finished her words, everyone felt as if their necks were strangled and they couldn't breathe. Especially Aog, whose face was as pale as paper. He couldn't even maintain his kneeling position and collapsed on the ground. "Your Excellency, I don't know her. She is your woman. Please forgive me," Aog said with difficulty. The Lord gave him a cold glance and raised his hand. Aog could even feel the shadow of death looming over him. He Xinjiu quickly said, "Male God, Please show mercy. Although this AOG is annoying, he is the crown prince of the Yen clan after all. Moreover, he is quite formidable in the war. Let him deal with that old witch, Mei Yan. Since little Jiu is pleading for you, then I will spare you temporarily. All of you get up. Sheng Zun said indifferently. Chapter 4462 was given to her little Jiu. Aojis heart trembled. Perhaps he was thinking too much. It was probably just a coincidence. Little Jiu should be in King Luo's nickname. Moreover, Yun Chujiu should be in the towering sky continent. How could she come to the ghost region? It was impossible that she was Yun Chujiu. Although many thoughts flashed through Aoj's mind for a moment, his expression had already regained its calmness. After he stood up, he did not say anything. He just stood there with his hands hanging down with a pale face. He was very unwilling to accept this. The ghost region was just around the corner, but the Lord wanted to helping Qing Luo capture Princess Mei Yan. Wouldn't all his previous efforts be in vain? However, no matter how unwilling he was, he did not dare to reveal the slightest bit of it. In front of this man, all the things that he was proud of had turned to dust. However, he was very glad that this Qing Luo was just like Yun Chujiu. If she really was Yun Chujiu, then he would be even more desperate, because he did not dare and could not compete with this man. Yun Chujiu's eyes were as bright as the stars in the sky. She felt that her taste was really good. Prince Charming, now that that old witch, Princess Mei Yan, is not prepared at all, why don't we just kill our way to the Imperial Palace? The Lord nodded. Then we will attack the Imperial City as you say. AOG, are you not satisfied? Do you think I have ruined your plan? Sheng Zun asked. AOG was swept by the Lord's glance, and his face turned pale again. He mumbled, No, or dare not say. Sheng Zun said faintly. AOG gritted his teeth. He said with the determination to die, Your Excellency, I really don't understand. The situation is good now. As long as you lead us, we can easily occupy the ghost territory. Do you really have to give up for a woman? Sheng Zun's voice was slightly cold. If little Jiu wants it, she can give it to 3,000 continents, not to mention a mere ghost territory. Hei Xingjia's smile became even brighter when she heard that. The pretty boy was getting better at talking after going out. Aojis face stiffened. He was shocked but also a little disdainful. This Sheng Zun was too sentimental, wasn't he? It was really disappointing that he could say such words. At this moment, Sheng Zun's cold voice sounded again. Besides, I'm doing this for the sake of your lives. Do you think that the cultivation speed in the ghost realm is very fast, so you think that the ghost realm is more suitable for the Yen clan? Hearing the Lord's question, Aojis' heart tightened. What did he mean by that? The Lord paused for a moment and said, Although the Yen clan and the ghost clan have some similarities, they are different after all. There won't be anything wrong in the short term. However, after more than a year, the sudden increase in cultivation will cause your bodies to explode, and you will die. If you don't believe me, you can look inside your dantian, and you will find that your dantian is different from the past. AOG, Mo1, and the others quickly looked inside their dantian. To their horror, they found that their dantian seemed to have grown a lot bigger than before. According to this speed, the Lord was not exaggerating when he said that their bodies would explode, and they would die. Aojis' face immediately turned ashen. If he had not forced himself to be paralyzed on the ground, he finally understood why Princess Mei Yan had allowed his power to expand again and again. It turned out that all of this was just her conspiracy. No wonder, according to the records, although the Ghost Clan and the Yen Clan had some dealings, no one from the Yen Clan had settled in the Ghost region. It turned out that this was the real reason. Chapter 4463. Get lost. The soldiers of the nightmare race were thrown into a riot, and then they knelt on the ground. Sheng Zun was indeed Sheng Zun, always able to save them from trouble. Facing the shouts of the soldiers of the nightmare race, Shengzun just waved his hand to let them stand up and said to Aog, I believe that you were able to return to the Dark Continent and enter the Ghost region because someone was plotting behind the scenes, right? You were merely being used as knives. If my guess is correct, that person is from the Divine Devil Hall, right? Aog no longer had the slightest bit of arrogance from before. He nodded with difficulty. Your Excellency, your guess is correct. It was indeed the people from the Divine Devil Hall who helped us return to the Dark Continent and helped us find the passage to enter the Ghost Realm. The Lord did not continue to ask, but said coldly, surround the Imperial City first and capture Princess Mayen before we talk. Shangzun's voice was cold, but he did not say anything. Aog still had quite a number of Ghost Clan members on his side, but now that they saw the Lord, how could they have the slightest bit of resistance? Moreover, they knew that the Princess Mayen in the palace was fake, so they followed the Yen clan's army to the Imperial City on their own initiative. Sha Wuhan and the others were completely dumbfounded. Little Zhou's lover was the Yen clan's Shengzun? This was too unbelievable, wasn't it? The short and fat man wanted to open his mouth to ask a few times, but he didn't dare. He was simply dying of curiosity. Everyone immediately rushed to the Imperial City and almost didn't encounter any resistance. Firstly, the army was pressing down on the border, so the people guarding the city didn't have the mood to continue fighting. Secondly, the title of Saint Lord was too well known. Just by standing there, the ghouls did not have the courage to resist anymore. Thirdly, the news that Yun Chuzhou had released had already spread throughout the Ghost Realm. Those people also knew that Princess Mayen in the palace was a fake, and she even used human blood to cultivate. In the past, they had no choice but to turn against her now. Soon, the Saint Lord, Yun Chuzhou, and the others arrived at the Imperial Palace. The ghost race's Emperor Kong Xiao had already turned into a puddle of mud due to fear. He brought his concubines over to surrender, while trembling. He kept saying a lot of things, blaming Princess Mayen for everything. Yun Chuzhou was too lazy to listen to his nonsense and immediately ordered her men to arrest him. At this moment, a charming and surprised voice was heard. My lord, is it really you? Mayen, are you dreaming? We finally meet again. Following the voice, Princess Mayen walked over with several guards. There was no panic on her face. Instead, there was shyness and surprise, as if she had really met her long-lost lover. Shengzun did not speak, but his eyes were cold. He had lost a lot of memories and did not remember this Princess Mayen, but he instinctively disliked this woman. Your Excellency, why didn't you say anything? Have you forgotten Mayen? Princess Mayen said with tears in her eyes. Before the Lord said anything, He Xinjiu snorted and said, Old witch, are you shameless? This is my man, get away from me. A trace of anger flashed across Princess Mayen's face and disappeared in an instant. She looked at the Lord sadly and said, Shengzun, my lord, you and I were in love back then, but fate played tricks on us and forced us to separate. Do you really not remember Mayen?
Pa.
I've seen shameless people before, but this is the first time I've seen someone as shameless as you. In love. Not to mention my Prince Charming. Even Aog doesn't like you, a sinister and ugly freak. He Xinjiu cursed while pointing at Princess Mayen with one hand on the Lord's arm and the other. Aog, does he not care about his face? Chapter 4464. The life-exterminating array. Princess Mayen's eyes fell on the Lord's arm that was held by Yun Chuzhou, and a trace of viciousness flashed in her eyes. At this moment, He Xinjiu shrank into the Lord's arms and said with a trembling voice, Shengzun, that old and ugly witch stared at me. I was scared to death. The Lord said indifferently, You retreat to the back. I'll kill her. He Xinjiu felt very comfortable in her heart. Her pretty boy was really good. He was cold and heartless to other women. She liked his style. Princess Mayen was so angry. When did she glare at her? This bitch dared to frame her. Also, Shengzun had never been close to women. Why was he so protective of this bitch? Just as Princess Mayan was thinking about it, she suddenly felt a murderous aura. She hurriedly dragged a guard to block in front of her. The guard was swept by the Lord's palm wind and immediately flew out. Without even looking, she knew that Shengzun was definitely dead. Princess Mayan's expression was very ugly. She looked at the Lord in disbelief. "Lord, you really want to kill me?" Shengzun did not answer her. Instead, he swung his palm again. Princess Mayan was prepared this time. She did not use her guards to block Shengzun's palm. Instead, she dodged Shengzun's palm. "Wait, I have something important to say." Princess Mayan shouted sharply. Shengzun stopped his attack and looked at her coldly. "Say it." Princess Mayan took a deep breath and squeezed out a smile. "Your Excellency, 10,000 years ago, you personally handed me something and said that we would meet again in the future. You asked me to give you that thing. Why don't we talk in private?" After Princess Mayan said that, she looked at Yun Chujio provocatively. How could a little girl compete with her? She was simply courting death. As long as she had the opportunity to have intimate contact with Shengzun, she did not believe that Shengzun would not be convinced by her beauty. As long as Shengzun was completely devoted to her, not to mention the mere ghost region, the 3,000 continents would be hers. Just as Princess Mayan was scheming, she heard Shengzun coldly say, "Let alone the fact that I would never give you the thing. Even if I really gave it to you, I would not want it now." Princess Mayan was so angry that her face was twisted. Even though the Lord was cold in the past, he wouldn't speak so harshly. How did he become like this now? He Xinjiu burst into laughter and said with a grin, "Old witch, did you hear that? My Prince Charming is annoying you to death. Stop daydreaming. In my opinion, it's a waste of resources for a shameless person like you to live. You might as well kill yourself." Princess Mayan said coldly, "My lord, I originally didn't plan to go to the extreme due to old feelings, but since you're so heartless, I don't have anything to worry about anymore." Shengzun's voice was cold. "To tell you the truth, I've already set up the life-exterminating array in the ghost region. Once my life is lost, the life-exterminating array will automatically open. At that time, the ghost region will become an Azura field." Princess Mayan's words immediately caused a commotion. They did not doubt the possibility of Princess Mayan's words at all, because Princess Mayan was sinister and vicious. She could indeed do such a thing. He Xinjiu narrowed her eyes and said with a chuckle, "Old witch, didn't you already say that the life-exterminating array will only be activated when your life is in danger? Then, it'll capture you and cut you into 1,000 pieces. It'll just keep you alive. Don't you think it's very interesting?" Chapter 4465, Red Pearl Princess. Mayan was so angry that she almost died. Interesting? This wretched girl was really detestable to the extreme. She said coldly, "Although I'm not your Majesty's match, it's still easy for me to escape. Your Majesty, today you can either kill this slut by your side and marry me, or you can watch the destruction of the ghost region." Sha Wuhan and the others looked at the Lord nervously. The Lord wouldn't really agree to Princess Mayan's request, would he? However, if he didn't agree, wouldn't the ghost realm be finished? It was too difficult to make a decision. Only the Lord and He Xinjiu didn't show any signs of worry or nervousness among the others, including Shengzun and He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu was sure that the gigolo wouldn't hurt her under any circumstances, so she naturally wouldn't show any signs of nervousness. Time seemed to slow down. Finally, everyone heard the Lord's cold voice, "I will never be threatened by anyone. Moreover, a person like you would not be willing to use your life to activate the life-exterminating array. Even if you really activate the life-exterminating array, I have enough power to protect the person you want to protect. You can do whatever you want." Princess Mayan did not expect the Lord to say this even in her dreams. For a moment, she was stunned. At this moment, the Lord's figure flashed and appeared in front of Princess Mayan in the blink of an eye. His right hand grabbed Princess Mayan's neck. Princess Mayan's face was full of fear. She didn't expect that the Lord's intention was to distract her, and the real purpose was to hit the target with one strike. Xingzun, who was standing in front of Princess Meiyan, was stunned. He Xinjiu was so proud of himself. Her pretty boy not only had a face but also a plan, but this old hag also wanted to threaten him? What wishful thinking. She took out a dagger and rubbed it against Princess Meiyan's face. Tell me the location of the extermination array and the method to break it, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. Bitch, how dare you? If you force me, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. All of you will die. Princess Meiyan said in exasperation. Yun Chujiu smiled even more brightly. Old witch, don't you know that biting off your tongue won't kill you? Why don't you try it? Princess Meiyan gnashed her teeth in hatred and turned to the Lord. My lord, you won't let this bitch mess around, right? I know I'm wrong. As long as you let me go, I'll destroy the life-exterminating array myself and find a place to live in seclusion. For the sake of our past friendship, please spare me. Princess Meiyan's voice was mournful and charming, with a few drops of tears on her face. Even Sha Wuhan and the others could not bear to see it. He Xinjiu slashed her face with a dagger. You old witch, you still want to seduce my man at this time? How shameless you are. Tui, how powerful do you think your seduction technique is? Even AOG was not successfully seduced by you, and you still want to seduce my Prince Charming? You overestimate yourself. AOG, who did he offend? Why did he have to bring him along, every time? He also wanted to save face, all right? Princess Meiyan was in pain and annoyed. Her eyes fell on the red bead hanging on her neck, and the words that man had said flashed across her mind. She gritted her teeth. Her soul consciousness moved, and the bead broke. Almost at the same time, Yun Chujiu screamed miserably. She turned into several purple light dots, condensing into her original appearance. However, what she condensed was just an illusion. Moreover, the color was light, as if it would disappear at any moment. Chapter 4466. The rootless man. D. Biming's head buzzed. He had already restrained Princess Meiyan's elemental energy and divine sense. Why was she still able to cause the red bead on her neck to crack? He did not have the time to investigate this now. A burst of icy air overflowed from his hand. Princess Meiyan felt that the blood in her entire body seemed to have frozen. The bone-piercing pain made her cry out in pain. Tell me, why did little Jiu become like this? Shengzun's voice was so cold that there was not the slightest bit of warmth. Ha ha, that person is indeed right. The woman beside you is indeed a rootless person. After 49 days, she will completely disappear, and there will be no possibility of resurrection. Shengzun, I have always been deeply in love with you, but you have repeatedly ignored me. This is karma. This bitch is about to die completely. No matter how capable you are, you can only watch as she dissipates bit by bit. Shengzun, do you regret treating me like that now? Haha, it's a pity that it's too late. This bitch is dead for sure. Princess Meiyan said in a crazed manner. Although Di Biming wanted to kill her with a single slap, he still needed her to ask for useful information, so he could only send out a bit of cold air. The Lord ignored Princess Meiyan's scream and asked with a trembling voice, Little Jiu, how are you? Shengzun asked. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. If it were not for his negligence, little Jiu would not have become like this. He had let little Jiu down. Yun Chujiu was so smart. She naturally understood what the Lord was thinking. She said with a smile, I think it's okay. My body is as light as a swallow. Prince Charming, don't worry. I've always been lucky. I've always been able to turn misfortune into luck and fortune. Who knows, I might even have some unexpected gains this time. How could the Lord not know that Yun Chujiu was consoling him? Just as he was about to interrogate Princess Meiyan, he saw AOG rush in front of Princess Meiyan like a madman and slap her a few times. Slut. If you don't tell me how to save little Jiu today, I will use the secret arts of the Yen clan to make you beg for death. Not only will I make your body rot inch by inch, I will also make your spiritual sense suffer from the burning pain. Aojis action not only stunned Princess Meiyan, but also the others. The Lord and Ing Qingluo were a couple. It was one thing for him to be anxious, but why did Aog look even more anxious than the Lord? Was he trying to steal a woman from Shengzun? Princess Meiyan was stunned for a moment, then spat out a mouthful of blood and laughed crazily. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect that all of you would be mesmerized by this slut. Good, very good. This is your retribution. Want to save her? It's not impossible. As long as you enter the 10,000 Ghost Lair and get the soul-gathering pearl, you can save this slut. But do you dare to go? Ha ha ha. The Lord frowned. He did not dare to perform a soul search on Princess Meiyan, because if someone had placed a restriction on her soul consciousness, one soul search would kill Princess Meiyan. Then he would not be able to get any useful clues. He glanced at Aog, whose eyes were red and felt somewhat complicated. He said indifferently, Aog, you used the secret technique of the Yen clan to force her to tell who exactly told her how to use the red pearl and where the life extermination array was set up. Aog immediately used the secret technique of the Yen clan on Princess Meiyan. Princess Meiyan laughed shrilly. Do you think you can force me to tell the truth? Dream on. You will never know the truth, and this bitch is dead for sure. What I, Meiyan, cannot get, no one else can. Chapter 4467 Soul Gathering Pearl. Aog was furious, but he did not dare to really kill Princess Meiyan, lest he missed the way to save Yun Chujio. At this time, Yun Chujio floated in front of Princess Meiyan. Old witch, do you think you have one? Princess Meiyan stared at Yun Chujio maliciously. Although I did not get what I wanted, at least I made you lose your life. It was worth it. Yun Chujio chuckled. It's a pity that you're destined to be disappointed. I'm just lucky. Otherwise, that person wouldn't have spent so much effort to set me up. Not to mention your little tricks, even Tian Dao wouldn't be able to take my life. Not only will I live, but I'll also live well. Don't you feel that you're very pitiful? You don't have anyone by your side who is sincere to you. Everyone wants you to die. You have no family, no lover, and even less friends. What do you want? Even if you control the ghost realm, even if you control the dark continent, even if you control the 3,000 continents, what do you want? Power? Even if you have supreme power, do you think that you can obtain family, friendship, and love? You are destined to be a pitiful worm who is despised by others. Princess Meiyan was obviously hit by Yun Chujio's words, and her face became even paler and twisted. She gritted her teeth and said, So, what if what you said is right? At least when I was alive, I enjoyed it freely. As for whether it was heartless or not, they are all illusory things. I don't care. You don't have to be stubborn. The 10,000 Ghost Lair is an Azura battlefield. There is no going back. TSK, aren't you and Shengzun in love? Isn't love stronger than gold? Then let's see if he will break into the 10,000 Ghost Lair for you. Let's see if he will be willing to sacrifice his life for you. Yun Chujio laughed lightly again. Old witch, my Prince Charming is the Shengzun who disagrees with heaven and earth. What is a mere 10,000 Ghost Lair? He can definitely help me get the soul-gathering pearl. Princess Meiyan saw the smile on Yun Chujio's face and felt that it was particularly eye-catching. She said fiercely, A 10,000 Ghost Lair? Aren't you afraid that your words will hurt your tongue? To tell you the truth, the life extermination array is set up in the 10,000 Ghost Lair. Moreover, there are more than 10,000 evil spirits brought by the ghost ancestor in the 10,000 Ghost Lair. If you go there, you will die without a burial place. Yun Chujio smiled brightly. Old witch, thank you for telling me so much. Otherwise, I really would know that the life extermination array is in the 10,000 Ghost Lair. Princess Meiyan almost fainted from anger. No wonder this wretched girl was flirting with her. It turned out that she had other motives. She had been tricked again. Prince Charming, I reckon that she won't be able to say anything useful. Just search her soul and find as many as you can, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Princess Mayan knew that she wouldn't be able to escape death, so she didn't beg for mercy. She only screamed and scolded, "Slut! Even if I die, you won't be able to live. You are a rootless person. You will never have a good ending in your lifetime. You are destined to be alone. The people around you will also be dragged down by you. They will not have a good ending." Princess Mayan's words stopped abruptly because Di Biming had already started to search her soul. Unfortunately, before she could get any useful clues, Princess Mayan died with blood flowing out of her 7 orifices. Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio, and his heart clenched. He saw Yun Chujio curled up into a ball, and her entire body was trembling. He quickly walked over and wanted to pull her into his embrace. However, his hand passed through Yun Chujio's body, and only then did he remember that she was only an illusion now. Chapter 4468. Do you trust me? Yun Chujio raised her head and looked at Di Biming with a dazed expression. Prince Charming, is what she said true? Am I really a rootless person? Will I really never have a good ending? Will I really be destined to be alone? Will the people around me also be dragged down by me and never have a good ending? Di Biming's heart felt as if it had been crushed by someone. He felt that he was really useless, repeatedly asking people to hurt her. If he had known earlier, he would have killed Princess Mayan. He would not have let little Jiu fall into the inner demons again. At this moment, Yun Chujio's soul was severely damaged, and her will was easily affected by words. In addition, in her previous life, she was abandoned by her biological parents who valued sons over daughters. She had never opened this knot in her heart. In her previous life, other than Yun Qi, she did not have any relatives or friends. Moreover, Yun Qi broke up with her boyfriend because of her, so she always felt guilty. In this life, although the Yun family of Qingxian continent treated her well, she still did not enjoy the warmth of her biological parents. Ever since Di Biming met her, in order to save her, he had risked his life many times and almost lost his life many times. Could it be that he was dragged down by her? Little Joe, listen to me. I don't know if you are a rootless person, but there is one thing I am sure of. From now on, I will always be by your side. No matter if it's heaven or earth, I will always be with you. No matter how dangerous the future is, I will always be with you. Do you trust me? The Lord said slowly and firmly. Yun Chujio looked into the Lord's eyes. Other than her reflection, there was also a burning affection in Sheng Zun's eyes. Many images of the two of them getting along flashed in her mind. Her helpless heart seemed to have someone to rely on, and then it sank into darkness. When Yun Chujio regained consciousness again, she realized that she was still in the same place. However, the others had disappeared, and only Di Biming was guarding her by the side. Seeing that she had woken up, Di Biming asked anxiously, "Little Jiu, you're awake? Is there anything wrong?" Yun Chujio stretched lazily. "It's all right. I just feel that I don't have much strength." Di Biming saw that her expression was normal and knew that she had already overcome her inner demons. However, his heart was not at ease at all. A trace of worry flashed across Di Biming's eyes. Although he did not know what was going on with Yun Chujio, the color of her figure seemed to have faded after she fell into a deep sleep. He could not let her fall into a deep sleep again. "Little Joe, we will rush to the 10,000 ghost lair immediately." Di Biming knew that there was no time to delay. He had to seize the time to obtain the soul-gathering pearl. Yun Chujio nodded. She had not lived long enough. Naturally, she had to take a gamble. "Prince Charming, where are the others? What happened after that?" she asked curiously. Di Biming said faintly, "Those guards and direct descendants of Princess Mayan are all dead. The related matters will be temporarily handled by the real Princess Mayan and Xia Wuhan. You don't have to care about them anymore. If they can't even clean up the mess, then they are not worth your nurturing anymore." Yun Chujio nodded. "What about AOG and those soldiers from the Yen clan?" I'll have them temporarily set up camp outside the imperial city to help Sha Wuhan, and the others hold down the fort. Once the situation stabilizes, they will leave. Yun Chujio saw that there was nothing to worry about here, so she drifted along with Di Baiming as they prepared to leave the imperial palace. They had just drifted some distance away when they saw the short and fat man commanding the imperial guards. Chapter 4469. What are you all afraid of? The short and fat man and the royal guards immediately knelt on the ground. If one looked closely, they would find that those people were all trembling. Yun Chujio frowned slightly. What did it mean? What were these people afraid of? Although the pretty boy was the lord, it was not to the extent that he made them so afraid, right? Second brother, I am going to follow my Prince Charming to the Myriad Ghosts Cave. You should assist Big Brother well. Also, there are some things that need to be thought of from a different perspective. Don't miss out on a good marriage opportunity, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Although the short and fat man didn't quite understand the meaning behind Yun Chujio's words, his eyes were red. He said with a sobbing voice, Little Jio, you will definitely recover. Second brother is waiting for you here. Second brother will prepare a lot of delicious food for you. You must come back. Yun Chujio said with a light smile, Don't worry. I'm still waiting to drink second brother's wedding wine. When the short fatty heard this, his eyes turned even redder, and he almost burst into tears. He did not care how little Jio's appearance changed, nor did he care about her true identity. He also did not care about the words of someone who had no roots. He only knew that this was his sister, a sister that was even closer to him than his own sister. The short fatty used almost all of his strength and courage to look at Di Baiming. He gritted his teeth and said, Your Excellency, although I don't have the right to say anything to you, little Jio has been entrusted to you. I hope that you can return safely. Di Baiming hummed and motioned for Yun Chujio to leave. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, Prince Charming, wait for me in front. I have some private matters to discuss with second brother. Di Baiming naturally would not go against Yun Chujio's wishes. He immediately walked to a distance and waited for her. Second brother, tell me the truth. What are you guys afraid of? Are you afraid of me, this so-called rootless person? Yun Chujio asked in confusion. Pooey.
Pooey. Pooey.
Little Jio, don't listen to that old witch. Mei Yan spout nonsense. If it wasn't for you, we brothers would still be starving and freezing. How would we have such a good life now? So you don't have to take her words to heart. We aren't afraid of you, but of your excellency. The short and fat man glanced at a certain lord in the distance and said in a low voice, Afraid of him? Although he is the lord of the Yen clan, he shouldn't make you so afraid, right? Yun Chujio said in puzzlement. The short and fat man hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, Little Jio, we are blood-related siblings, so I won't hide it from you. You really don't know. After you fell into a deep sleep yesterday, Your Excellency went on a killing spree. Princess Mayan's guards and direct descendants were turned into corpses in an instant. It was like a river of blood. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that there were many palaces in her original place. It seemed that they were all ruins after she woke up. It turned out that it was caused by the gigolo's outburst. Seeing that Yun Chujio was in a daze, the short and fat man quickly said, Little Jio, although your majesty is a little cruel, it's also because he cares about you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone on a killing spree. Yun Chujio nodded. Second brother, I understand. Since there's nothing else, he'll leave. You should think about what I said to you. Without waiting for the short and fat man to reply, He Xinju floated away. The short and fat man wiped his tears. He was thinking about what Yun Chujio said while instructing the imperial guards to continue with their work. Yun Chujio floated to Di Baiming's side and smiled. Prince Charming, let's go. Well, go get the soul-gathering pearl and meet those evil spirits. Chapter 4470. Little follower Ao. G.D. Baiming nodded his head. The two of them left the Imperial City and headed towards the 10,000 Ghost Lair. The people of the Ghost region could not ride a sword to fly unless they rode on a flying primordial bird. Although Di Baiming was an exception, Yun Chujio could only float forward in her current state. Otherwise, Di Baiming would not have allowed her to sleep on the spot and not move her. After the two of them left the Imperial City for a distance, Di Baiming stopped and said coldly, "Come out." Yun Chujio was stunned and turned around. She saw a figure flash out from behind a tree in the distance. It was the crown prince of the Yen clan, Aog. Aog's back was straight, but his expression was stiff. It was obvious that he was afraid of Di Baiming. Aog walked in front of the two of them, and his gaze fell on Yun Chujio. Almost instantly, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He knew that Di Baiming had released his pressure on him. He said with difficulty, "I am also responsible for little Jio's condition, so I want to go to the Myriad Ghosts cave with you. Although my cultivation level is not as high as yours, I know some secret techniques of the Yen clan. I might be able to help you." Yun Chujio was about to refuse, but Di Baiming said, "Then let's go together." He Xinjiu looked at Di Baiming in surprise. Why didn't this jealousy flare up today? If it was in the past, Aog would have been sent flying with a slap. She did not know that now that Di Baiming was worried about her situation, it was naturally good to have more help. Although he was the lord of the Yen clan, he was not from the Yen clan. Bringing Aog along with Shengzun might be helpful. When Aog saw Di Baiming nod his head in agreement, he was naturally extremely happy. When he found out that Ng Qingluo was Yun Chujio, his heart was filled with mixed feelings. If he had known that she was little Jiao, he would not have colluded with Princess Meian to force her step by step. If he had known that she was little Jiao, he would have. What should he have done? Snatch her or strike first? All of this was in vain because she was the saint's woman. He could not snatch her away. The only thing he could do now was to help little Jiao find the soul-gathering pearl and make her bright and lively again. Di Baiming had always been quiet. Now that Aog had joined in, he did not say much. Aog had a lot of questions to ask Yun Chujio, but because Di Baiming did not dare to ask, neither of them said anything. Yun Chujio originally could not stay idle, but now she felt very tired. After talking to the short and fat man for a while, she felt sleepy, and now she was just forcing herself to not fall asleep. Di Baiming saw Yun Chujio's listless look and was afraid that she would fall asleep again, so he could only think of a topic. Unfortunately, he was not a person who was good at small talk. After a long time, he finally thought of a topic and asked, "Little Jiao, what happened after I left?" "Little Jiao, tell me what happened after I left." Yun Chujio also knew that Di Baiming was afraid that she would fall asleep, so she forced herself to tell him everything that had happened in the past few days. Di Baiming did not have much of a reaction. On the contrary, Aog kept exclaiming and praising. He was so engrossed in it that he even forgot that there was a fiend beside him. He blurted out, "Little Jiao, you are indeed the woman that I have taken a fancy to. You are indeed very smart." Aog had also finished speaking. He also felt an icy cold aura enveloping him. He lowered his head embarrassedly. He was not worthy of such a dazzling woman. Perhaps only a man like Shengzun could be worthy of her. Chapter 4471 will be destroyed. Yun Chujio saw that Aog was really sad, so she could only change the topic. "Prince Charming, now that I have become like this, where did Buttface and the others go? Could they be dead already?" She tried to summon the big brick, but there was no response. She tried to communicate with Guai Chao and the other foodies, but there was no response, and Buttface was nowhere to be found. At this moment, Yun Chujio heard a voice that seemed to come from far away in her mind. "Xiao Xianzi, you quickly come save us." Yun Chujio wanted to listen again, but she couldn't hear anything. She frowned. From the sound of it, it seemed that Dog 2 and the others were trapped somewhere. However, these scammers were all perverts. Where exactly were they trapped? A trace of worry flashed across Di Biming's eyes. Little Joe, the most important thing now is to find the soul-gathering pearl first. Then, we will think of a way to find out more about them. Moreover, they all have their own peculiarities. Nothing will happen to them. Yun Chuzhou had a hunch that Di Biming was hiding something from her. However, Aog was here, so it was inappropriate for her to ask. She did not even ask where he had gone before. Even though Yun Chuzhou tried her best not to fall into a deep sleep, she still fell into a deep sleep after drifting for a while. Di Biming wanted to hold her in his arms, but in the end, he helplessly let go of her. He had no way to touch Yun Chuzhou now, let alone hold her in his arms. He could only stare at the sleeping shadow, his face very gloomy. Aog was also very anxious. He kept spinning on the ground until he was stared at by Di Biming. He gathered his courage and asked, "Your Excellency, do you have a way to break the formation of destruction?" Di Biming shook his head. "No. Then what should we do? It is said that the formation of destruction is the first evil formation. If we can't break it, it will turn into blood," Aog said worriedly. "Just destroy it," Di Biming said faintly. "Destroy? Destroy? Just destroy it?" Aog thought about these words several times. What did the Lord mean? Did he mean to destroy the formation of destruction? Did he hear wrong? That was the formation of destruction. It was not some low-level small formation. How could it be destroyed? However, he saw that Di Biming's expression did not look like he was joking. However, it was also true that the Lord would not joke with him. So, what he said was true. The last bit of pride in Aog's heart instantly disappeared without a trace. Compared to such a pervert, it was already good enough that he did not feel inferior. Where was the slightest bit of pride? Yun Chuzhou's coma this time was 2 hours longer than the last time. Di Biming's mood became increasingly heavy. It seemed that if little Joe fell into a coma again, the time would be longer and longer. In this way, they did not have enough time to get the soul-gathering pearl. They could not let her fall asleep again, no matter what. Therefore, when they passed by a town, Di Biming left for a while. When Yun Chuzhou was sleepy again, a certain lord took out a set of clothes and threw it to Aog. "Go to the forest next door and change into this set of clothes." Aog was flattered. His honored master was actually concerned about his clothes. However, it was also true. He had been in a terrible mood these days, so he had been wearing the clothes from before. It was indeed a little dirty. However, when Aog's gaze fell on the clothes, he was instantly dumbfounded. Your honored master, isn't this a woman's outfit?" Chapter 4472. Would you like to try on this set of clothes? Di Biming said faintly, yes. Aog stretched his neck and waited for a long time, but Di Biming did not say anything else. Aog was even more confused. What did yes mean? Was he deliberately messing with him? Was he trying to humiliate him with women's clothes? Aog suddenly felt a surge of anger rise in his heart. A soldier could be killed, but not humiliated. Although he could not beat him, he could not let him do as he pleased. He raised his head and was about to fly into a rage when he saw Di Biming looking at Yun Chuzhou, who was trying her best to resist the drowsiness, with a worried expression. He immediately understood Di Biming's intention. He gritted his teeth and carried his clothes into the forest next to him. Aog was cursing in his heart as he changed his clothes. Although the Lord was powerful, his aesthetic standards were really not that good. Didn't he know that red and green matched each other's bullshit? This color match was really bright and blinding. Aog had to muster his courage for his entire life before he walked out of the forest. Hei Xinjiu, who was originally drowsy, saw Aog's style and instantly laughed her head off. Haha, Aog, you are really too beautiful. Haha. Although Aog was a little embarrassed, when he saw that Yun Chuzhou was smiling happily and no longer looked drowsy like before, he sighed in his heart. Forget it, there was a limit to what he could do. Being able to help her get rid of her drowsiness was already considered not bad. Because of Aojis cross-dressing, Yun Chujia's sleepiness temporarily disappeared. She thought in her heart. She originally thought that Aog only treated her as it's good if you can't get it. She did not expect Aog to be sincere to her. In that case, she could help him more in the future. In the next 2 days, Aog also went all out. Not only was he wearing cross-dressing, but he also deliberately spoke at his throat to make Yun Chujio happy. Yun Chujio was often teased until she fell back and forth, and her sleepiness also dissipated a lot. However, as time passed, Aojis women's clothing had lost its attraction to Yun Chujio, and she fell asleep again. Aog had a big red flower on his head, and he wore a green brocade dress. He said with a sad face, "Your Excellency, my women's clothing is of no use anymore, but it's still far from the ghost realm. What should we do? If little Jiao is still asleep, I'm afraid we won't be able to reach the 10,000 ghost cave 49 days ago. Why don't you try on this outfit of mine?" Aog subconsciously took a few steps back after he said that. He would never admit that he had the intention to take revenge. Why was he the only one who embarrassed himself? Didn't he say that he would do anything for little Jiao? Then why did he only ask him to dress up as a woman and not him? Di Biming glanced at Aog. That emotionless look almost scared Aog to the point of fainting. Just when Aog thought that Di Biming was going to slap him to death, he heard him say indifferently, "Take it off." Aog was stunned. He reacted for a long time before he understood what Di Biming meant. Was he going to wear it? A moment later, Di Biming walked out of the forest in a green brocade dress with a big red flower on his head. Di Biming did not look embarrassed at all. He walked slowly to Aog. Aog's mouth was wide open in surprise. The Lord was dressed as comically as him before, but why did he not find it funny? Why did he think that he was arrogant and cool? Was this the legendary aura? Well, even if he didn't want to, he could only admit that some people could wear brocade clothes even if they were wearing rags. Some people couldn't hide their dignity even if they tried their best to be ugly. Chapter 4473 was something that little Jiao could not bear to part with. Di Biming did not look at Aog. Instead, he sat on the ground and began to cultivate. Aog stared at the big red flower on Di Biming's head. Damn it, it looked like a matchmaker on his head. Why did it feel like a crown on Sheng Zun's head? What the fuck? A few hours later, Yun Chujio finally woke up. She looked at the two of them in a daze, and finally, her gaze fell on Di Biming. Aog was gloating in his heart. In a while, little Jiao would burst out laughing. Let's see how calm he is. Let's see how long he can pretend. However, he never expected Yun Chujio to not laugh when she saw Di Biming's strange appearance. Instead, she said with a sobbing tone, "Prince Charming, what are you doing? You are not Aog. You can't ruin yourself just to make me happy. I will be very sad when I see you like this." Aog, does he not care about his face? Is it really good for you to treat me so differently? Thinking about it, Aog was also the #1 beauty of the Yen clan. How could he ruin him so easily? Di Biming shot a glance at Aog, then walked to a hidden place and changed his clothes. Aog felt that that glance was like a slap on his face. Di Biming's meaning was self-evident. It was not that he could not bear to part with his face and pretend to be a woman, but it was that little Jiao could not bear to part with it. The last bit of hope that Aog had for Yun Chujio was now completely gone. He knew that no matter how hard he worked, no matter how much he fawned, he could not replace the position of the Lord in Yun Chujio's heart. He only had one goal now, and that was to help little Jiao obtain the soul-gathering pearl. Then, he would go back and become the crown prince of the Yen clan. If it was not his, it would not be his in the end. In the next few days, Aog was even more miserable. In order to prevent Yun Chujio from falling asleep, Di Biming recalled every single detail from the time they had met until now. He Xinjiao was beaming from ear to ear. Aog was about to be tortured like a dog. Who had he offended? Wasn't it just a woman that he had fallen in love with? Was there a need to torture him in such a way? He simply did not want to live anymore. However, when he looked at Yun Chujia's smiling face, his little heart was still like a happy little rabbit. This kind of woman was different from the ones he had seen before. She had left a fresh mark on his heart. He was afraid that he would never be able to erase it in this lifetime. They walked and stopped. On this day, the three of them finally arrived at the Desolation Desert, where the legendary 10,000 Ghost Lair was located. Aog had done a lot of preparations before. He took out a map and said, "The 10,000 Ghost Lair is in the deepest part of the desolate desert. If we want to reach the 10,000 Ghost Lair, we have to cross the desolate desert. It is rumored that there are many brutal origin beasts in the desolate desert. These origin beasts only live in the desolate desert. They are nourished by the evil spirit aura in the 10,000 Ghost Lair, so they are extremely brutal. Little Joe, when the time comes, you will follow behind me, and I will protect you." Beiming glanced at him indifferently, and Aog immediately felt a little embarrassed. With this fiend around, how could it be his turn to perform? The three of them made some adjustments and entered the Desolation Desert. Although it was called the Desolation Desert, there were still scattered shrubs and short plants. It was unknown whether it was because the aura of the Lord was too strong, but they did not encounter a single origin beast even after walking for dozens of miles. "Hey Shinjo," asked Aog with a smile, "didn't you say that there were many ferocious origin beasts? Where are they? It's been a long time since I've seen a cute little girl who dares to go against me." Aog, he did not want to talk now, really. Chapter 4474. The Lord. After walking for dozens of miles, a 30 feet tall origin beast finally appeared. Its huge figure left a huge shadow on the ground. Aog saw this origin beast and felt a strange joy in his heart. Fuck, there was finally one. Otherwise, Little Nine would think that he was exaggerating. Aog immediately raised his voice and pointed at the origin beast. "Little Nine, this is the unique bloodthirsty ghost mammoth of the Desolation Desert. Its fur can turn into sharp arrows to attack the enemy. In addition, due to its huge size, its strength is boundless. A single claw can send dozens of people flying. It is rumored that dozens of Ghost Clan experts once besieged a bloodthirsty ghost mammoth, but in the end, they all died." So, in a moment Aog's words came to an abrupt end, because the bloodthirsty ghost mammoth that he had bragged about was already lying on the ground, trembling like a fallen leaf in the wind. Yes, a big fallen leaf. It was also very miserable. If it knew that there was a malefic star here, it would not have come out to court death. Was it too late to regret now? Hei Shinju looked at the bloodthirsty ghost mammoth a few times, and then asked Aog in puzzlement, "Aog, didn't you say that the origin beasts here are very fierce? Why is this one so polite? And it even knelt down and worshipped us?" Aog, the vampire mammoth. What the hell was that worshipping? It was forced by a tremendous pressure, all right? Beiming said indifferently, "Let's go. We must hurry." Therefore, the three of them bypassed the shivering vampire mammoth and continued their journey. Hei Shinjo said regretfully, "If it weren't for the fact that I can't condense a real body right now, I would ride that vampire mammoth for a stroll no matter what. Just thinking about it makes me feel awe-inspiring." Beiming curled his lips and said, "When we get the soul-gathering pearl, they'll help you catch one and take you around the desert of desolation." Hearing that, the bloodthirsty ghost mammoth shivered even more violently. It made up its mind that it would stay in the nest from now on and never show off again. Aog did not want to talk now. He felt like a fool following the two perverts. After a moment, Aog finally could not help but say, "Little Joe, Your Excellency, do you see the glaring red in the distance? That's the Nirvana ghost ants. Even a behemoth like the bloodthirsty ghost mammoth would not dare to provoke the Nirvana ghost ants." The toxins they secrete can turn a bloodthirsty ghost mammoth into a pile of bones in an instant. Moreover, it seems that the Nirvana ghost ants in the distance are a large group. Why don't we take a detour? Beiming ignored him and continued to walk forward at a moderate pace. Hey, Shinjio said uninterestedly while floating. Are these the ferocious primeval beasts you were talking about? Aren't they just a bunch of ants? It's really not challenging at all. AOG quickly retorted. Little Gio, don't underestimate those Nirvana ghost ants. Apart from secreting toxins, they also have a pair of sharp forelegs. They are very ferocious, aren't they? AOG swallowed his words back, because a large group of Nirvana ghost ants had instantly fled like a tide, and they were the ones that fled in panic. Some of the old, young, sick, and disabled ants that did not have time to escape directly dived into the sand. AOG, it was not that the origin beasts were not ferocious, but that the Lord was too abnormal. Hei Shinjio was also somewhat puzzled. Although the pretty boy was powerful, it seemed that he was much more powerful than other places in the Dark Continent and the Ghost Domain. What was going on? Chapter 4475 was not well written. AOG did not say anything when he saw the origin beast. It would be a slap in the face anyway, so it was better to pretend to be dumb. The origin beasts he saw along the way all fled when he saw the three of them. A few of them did not escape, but they only watched from afar and did not dare to approach the three of them. AOG felt like he was dreaming. He even suspected that he had entered a fake desolation desert. What happened to the dangerous situation? What happened to never coming back? How come he didn't even have the chance to make a move along the way? What a grievance! 2 days later, the three of them arrived at the Myriad Ghosts cave smoothly. Yun Chujio saw 3 huge, ancient characters on the cliff wall and burst into laughter. Who wrote these characters? Why is it uglier than mine? Beiming and AOG looked up. The 3 characters on the cliff wall were written in a crooked way. It was indeed not good. AOG coughed dryly and said, "It is said that this was written by the ghost ancestor himself." Yun Chujio exclaimed, "Didn't you say that this is the Myriad Spirit Cave? Why is it written here?" AOG explained, "Originally, this place was indeed called the Myriad Spirit Cave. However, because the evil spirits here were too ferocious, everyone called it the Myriad Spirit Cave." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "You've always said that it was an evil spirit. What the hell is an evil spirit?" It's rumored that the ghost ancestor brought countless remnant souls from other continents back then. Due to various reasons, they were unable to reincarnate. If it wasn't for the ghost ancestor bringing them to the ghost territory, these remnant souls would have turned into ashes. However, after the ghost ancestor released those remnant souls, he realized that some of them were unable to form a physical body, so he placed them in the 10,000 Spirits Cave. As there were 5 soul-gathering pearls left by the ghost ancestor in the 10,000 Ghost Lair, those remnant souls would slowly form a physical body after absorbing the energy from the soul-gathering pearls. During this period, some people had designs on those soul-gathering pearls. However, those who entered the 10,000 Ghost Lair would never return. As time passed, the 10,000 Ghost Lair was also known as the 10,000 Ghost Lair by everyone. Yun Chujio nodded. No wonder the ghost clansmen were very respectful towards the ghost ancestor. If there was no ghost ancestor, there would not be the present ghost territory. Then where did the ghost ancestor go? Yun Chujio asked curiously. I don't know. There are no records about it in the various books of the ghost clan. It's as if the ghost ancestor disappeared into thin air, AOG said. Yun Chujio thought of the spirit souls summoned by the ghost clan members. She felt that the ghost ancestor's disappearance seemed to be related to those spirit souls. Just as she was about to ask more questions, a black mist began to spread in the surroundings. The black fog transformed into the appearance of evil ghosts and pounced towards the 3 of them. AOG cried out in surprise. The Life Extermination Array. We actually stepped into the Life Extermination Array, without realizing it. As AOG spoke, he released his nightmare aura to resist the black fog, preventing Yun Chujio and him from being attacked by the black fog. As for a certain one, HMPH, wasn't he powerful? Then he would deal with it himself. He even bragged about destroying it. Did he really think that the life extermination array was a joke? If he did not know how to break it, it would be almost impossible to destroy the life extermination array with brute force. The nightmare aura that AOG released blocked a few evil ghosts that were formed by the black fog. He shouted at Hei Shinjio, "Little Jio, my nightmare aura can deal with these evil ghosts. You must stay close to me so that you won't be attacked by these evil ghosts." However, he did not hear a response. He turned around, and his nose almost went crooked from anger. Chapter 4476. Black evil spirits Di Baiming and Yun Chujio were standing there perfectly fine. No one knew what Di Baiming had done. The evil spirits formed by the black fog had no way of getting close to them. AOG saw Yun Chujio turn her head to look at him and gloated, "AOG, you don't have to care about me anymore. You have to pray for yourself. Be careful not to lose your life." AOG felt wronged. In front of this pervert, Sheng Zun, he had been beaten into a pulp. The so-called opportunity to show off was simply a disgrace. AOG vented his anger on those evil spirits and used his nightmare chi to kill them. At first, it was fine, but as time passed, AOG could not hold on any longer. No matter how powerful he was, he could not deal with the endless black fog ghosts. What made him most angry was that Di Baiming had been standing there and did not move at all, allowing him to be attacked by those evil ghosts. He thought carefully. No wonder the Lord agreed to let him come with them. It turned out that he was looking for an opportunity to kill Sheng Zun. How cunning! He was too naive to think that the Lord was a generous person.
Bah.
So, he was a cunning person. What made him even sadder was that Yun Chujio kept smiling at him without any intention of attacking him. She was too cold-blooded. Even though he had been wearing women's clothes for a few days, he should not have left him to die. He felt a chill in his heart. Although he did not expect Yun Chujio to take him seriously, at least she was better than a stranger, right? She actually watched him struggle with all his might without helping him. It was too disappointing. At this moment, he heard Yun Chujio clapping her hands and said, "AOG, how can a person like you dream of marrying me? You really want to eat swan meat. Why don't you look in the mirror? How can a coward like you be worthy of me? Compared to my Prince Charming, you are like the sky and the earth. You really overestimate yourself and are shameless." AOG looked at Yun Chujio in disbelief. He did not expect Yun Chujio to say such heartless words. For a moment, he felt that everything had become meaningless, and his hands slowed down anyway. He was going to die sooner or later, so he would die. A black evil spirit pounced on him ferociously. He closed his eyes. He would end his life like this. Of course, he was unwilling. But what could he do? He walked the path on his own. However, the pain that he imagined did not come. Instead, he heard Yun Chujio's fierce voice, "AOG, is there something wrong with your head? Hurry up and help Prince Charming break the formation. What are you mumbling about with your eyes closed?" AOG opened his eyes and was surprised to find that there was no black evil spirit around him. Yun Chujio was scolding him with her hands on her hips while Di Baiming was attacking a barrier. The barrier trembled violently under Di Baiming's attack. It would not take long for the barrier to break. AOG was a little confused. Could it be that he was hallucinating? "Little Joe, you didn't see the black evil spirits? Isn't this the life extermination array?" AOG asked in confusion. Yun Chujio touched her chin. "This should be inside the life extermination array. However, it seems that this life extermination array should be made up of many array formations. This should be an illusory array." "Oh, right. Why did you mumble about how cold your heart is? Why don't you just die? What kind of illusion did you fall into?" You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.